this is where the boundary line lies, because we want to honor and respect the next person, right? So I say some of us have a lot extra healing to do in terms of, because when you've been silenced for so long, when you then eventually get the mic and the platform, there's a lot that you need to share, like, from forever and a day. So we are really happy to welcome you. There's few people that will be joining us in person. And so, yeah, the focus of our conversation, I'll say maybe a little bit more about that just after I've invited Ashwin Deploy, who is SAFI's Men Affirming Dignity program coordinator, and is also our, safety protocols person. So he will just, give us some guidance, especially for the people in person. Ashwin, you're on.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. Greetings to all our international guests. Also, good morning. So I'm just here to do the safety protocols to make sure that you know that we as SAFI prioritize your safety, and that when anything should happen, that you do know what to do. So in the case of an emergency, we have 2 emergency exits. We have one exit here behind me. So this, that looks like a wall, there's a secret door that will open up. And then we also have the main exit, which was also the entrance that you use entering in. In the case of an emergency and a fire breaks out here, or anything else, and you hear the siren, don't panic, relax, breathe, relax. Know that myself and Dr. Elizabeth will be the people that you will look at. So Dr. Elizabeth will take the room just after where the camera line ends. She'll take that end of the room, and you will move this way down the steps to the emergency exit point. I will then take the rest of the room, which will end after the line of the camera, and we will move outside to the emergency exit point. Then, once the space has been declared safe again, then we will come in. So that's that. Then also toilets, you will find on your far right. We do have an issue here this morning with the toilets here. It's the water. That's the side the line is cut, but the far right, so if you leave out here, to your right down the steps, you'll see the female toilets and the male toilets. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. So I will now have Caroline oh, should I just first say about the purpose?
Yes, please. You must first do the purpose.
Okay. So again, a special acknowledgement actually to our colleagues online. I know that it is 3 a.m. It's in some parts of the world, so, and it's 4 a.m. in other parts of the world, and much earlier, etc. And even Prof. Mutombo, that's why we will have him first, because for him it's about 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. So we really want to say that we appreciate your commitment to and your willingness to participate in this conversation. And I just want to draw your attention to the fact it's really a combination. Today is the last day of International Women's Month. Now in South Africa, for the international guest, in South Africa we have, we miraculously, change. We miraculously make it a month, just so to give us more time to be able to reflect on that particular day. And so today marks the end of International Women's Month. And SAFI thought this be a really great opportunity for us to draw our attention to a quest that women who are abused by the intimate partners, women who are abused by the intimate partners have been asking at least since I've started the work, and I've read in research, women have been asking for interventions with the men. That's what women have been asking. And even if the relationship comes to an end, women have said we still want intervention for the men, right? And interestingly, how we as professionals and scholars and policymakers and lawmakers decided that we will tell the woman, you need help. And so we will create shelters for you. We will create laws, but you will have to get up and go and lay the charge. You must do, if you want to be safe, you have to get up. I've worked in a shelter for abused women for close to 15 years, and it is torn my heart every time to see how women, desperate for safety and sanity in times of intimate partner abuse, have to gather themselves and their children and run for safety. And so our legislations has not been responsive. And especially in Africa, we have not been responsive. We have not listened to African women saying what it is that they need in terms of intervention when it comes to this particular devastation that some are experiencing in their intimate lives. And so SAFI, as an organization, has really been committed to how do we shift things? Slowly but surely, yes, there's critical services still that is needed for women. And we must do that for victim survivors. There's a lot that still needs to happen and must happen. But there's also quite a critical thing that we believe we have to look at. And that is putting the focus on men. And the men, one of our projects or initiatives that we started is Men Affirming Dignity, MAD. And some of you may know about it. And really it is about to put the spotlight onto the humanity, very important, it is the humanity of African men who affirm dignity. And so through the MAD initiative, we have been having various conversations to begin to say that there are many, many men, countless men actually, who are living their lives daily affirming dignity of many people. But you see, the public narrative does not put the spotlight onto that part of the conversation. And so the MAD initiative doesn't romanticize men. We must be very clear. We know very well that there are some men who are doing horrific things, brutal things to women and children. And so, but it is important for us to hold the balance. So the MAD initiative also seeks to, while it talks back at this dominant public narrative that predominantly profiles black men, African men as violent and abusive, besides interrupting that narrative, we also say that the MAD initiative is here, it becomes a resource to those men who are abusive, right? And so today's conversation is really about, we've invited folk, a few countries that is joining us, and there's multi-faith, you know, because, and then there's gender justice and equality activists also, to put the spotlight on men as a resource when it comes to interrupting intimate partner abuse. Men as a resource in cultivating Ubuntu in the home, in intimate relationships, and in our society. And so that is the focus of our conversation today. And Caroline, we know Caroline is a powerful, powerful gender justice activist. And so we are in conversation, right? And so she together with myself, we will be moderating the conversation because we need to have conversation about it. And so that's also our responsibility as SAFI. We must be held accountable as we do the work that zooms into the work with men. And so, you know, so that is a little bit of a long context, but I just wanted to bring us into the room so we have a sense. So Caroline, I'm really grateful for you. I don't have a complete CV, but the most exciting that I want to lift up from about Caroline is that she was recently appointed onto the National Council of Gender-Based Violence and Femicide in South Africa. And so we are covered. We are covered. Caroline?
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Good morning, everybody. I want to ask Nita to just bring us into the space before we start. Nita's going to do a short meditation for us. Thank you, Nita.
Good morning. It's good. Okay. So I'm just going to share a few words of guidance into a meditation, just so we can come to a place of presence and prepare ourselves internally as we engage in these conversations. And so I'm going to invite you to just sit comfortably. And if you have anything in your hands, just put it down for a few moments. Allow your feet to rest gently on the ground. Feel the earth providing you with stability, allowing you to feel anchored and grounded in this moment. And let's just come to a place of presence. I take a deep breath in and gently breathe out and just let go and relax. Just allowing all the old, all the things of the outside world for this moment to just fade into the background, so that I just focus all my attention and my energy in this moment. And I take a deep breath in, focusing on my breath, acknowledging its life force. And as I breathe out, I just let go, release, and just settle further into my meditation space. I invite you to gently focus inwards now. And as I step inside, I just take note of my thoughts, my feelings. I do so without judgment, without a commentary. I just want to understand where I am at right now. So just observing with a lot of compassion, with a lot of love. What's my inner world like right now? And then I choose to hold one focus, that at this moment, my mind is at peace and my heart holds compassion. As I create this awareness and this focus, just allow yourself to settle into that space, holding clarity in your mind, rooted in peace and stillness, and an open heart that holds love, understanding, and compassion. And so as we engage this morning, let us keep coming back to this, so that we remain connected to self, a reminder of why we are here, and what is it that I hold on to. So let's just hold this for a moment, just centering ourselves in that awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Nita. I'm going to ask Elizabeth to just introduce our opening keynote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, Caroline, I wonder whether we can just do a roll call in terms of just checking of the speakers that's online.
Okay.
You know, that everybody is here
here.
online quickly.
Okay, so we've got Professor
Mutombo.
Mutombo
Mutombo is here.
here.
Yes.
Then Prof. Mdinde is here.
The
Pastor is Kelly.
Is
Pastor is yes.
Esdras.
I'm here
Esdras
too.
Kelly. Present, thank you. Dr. Oliver Williams and Bishop Roderick Mitchell.
I think Bishop
Yeah,
is here.
yes,
Yes.
thank you. Pastor Stephen Tor.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Solomon Belay Ferris.
Yes.
Present. Shanil is here. Sister Mahbuba is here. Then Guru Krishna. Not
No,
here.
he's
No,
not
Guru
here.
Krishna is not well. And then Maribel.
Yes, she's there.
Sissy Kolile is here. Reverend Dr. Ipayana Mwagubole.
We might join later.
Okay, might join later. And then Reverend Zukisa
You
Fumba.
will
Join later.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. So thank you. And I just want to ask the panelists that will be speaking online, if when it's your chance, it would be great if we can see you. And then otherwise, just to keep your mics on mute. So it is my honor and privilege to invite Prof. Mutombo Nkulu Nsenga to come and speak to us. And we've got a bit of a long history, but I'm not going to say too much about him. All to say that he is he's from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He's an incredible African scholar that has actually helped me when I was struggling with my PhD. I struggled with my PhD because I couldn't find the connection in terms of the academic framework. And I was guided. I was guided to him, actually. And I came across an article that he wrote. And so he will speak to us about that particular article and just reflect as we start this conversation. Prof. Mutombo is now based in the US at the University of California, State University. He will talk to us about what men owe women, an African perspective. So thank you, Prof. You are on.
Thank you so much, Sister Elizabeth. Can I share my PowerPoint here? Do you hear me? Yes. Can I share my document?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Carson, you guys help.
Yes. The technical team will assist.
Okay, you can see my document, I hope.
Yes, we can, Prof.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk to you. As Sister Elizabeth said, the kind of things I'm talking about is the work I've been working on over the last 30 years. I put here a couple of documents that you may see. I've been working on the Ubuntu. In Central Africa, we call it Bumuntu. Muntu Kintu Bumuntu. We published a book on what men owe to women, and it was done only by men. The reason was that technically women can liberate themselves. So it's not that we joined the movement to do favor to women. My position has been that any normal human being does not want his mother, his sister, or his daughter to be abused. So that same love we have in the family that we extend to the international community. So that was my perspective. And when we did this work, we invited some feminists to come and criticize our paper. One thing which came often from many men was fear, that many men think when they are nice, they bring tea to their wife in bed. People say, oh, you see, our brother is lost, he's colonized by his wife. So then the point was not that we have to liberate women, that men have to talk to other men. That's the perspective that I'm bringing to this paper. I have an anecdote which has inspired me to do this work. When I was doing my PhD in Philadelphia, once I said that in my tradition, if you want to respect a woman, you say mama, even if you are dealing with a little girl. My professor reacted immediately, and she said, motherhood is a paradigm of oppression. She was a very nice professor, and I never forgot that. So I've been exploring this topic from that perspective. 2 points I want to raise from the outset. The first is a proverb you all know. In French, it says, éduquer une femme, c'est éduquer une nation. To educate a woman is to educate a nation. Which means for us, women play a major role. We talk about mother tongue. We do not say father tongue, things of that nature. The second is science has, because I live here in California, near where I'm staying here, they found out that all human beings come from a woman who lived in Africa. It's called the Black Eve theory, or in science, it was mitochondrial DNA. You have the text here. It was done in 1987. As you well know, in South Africa, you know, it's one of the cradle of humanity. So South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania. Now there are those who think that it may be even Pan-African, they found in various places, but that was based on bones, on paleontology. So genetics has helped, and this was the starting scientific study in 1987. And in the Chronicle of Higher Education, an article which was assessing this theory used exactly the word Black Eve. And then there was a book published by Oppenheimer, The Real Eve Theory, which, by the way, has led many Western, French, American paleontologists to say publicly that we are all African. Should add children of an African woman. So I wanted this to be stressed at the outset that women are source of life and love. And of course, they are the one who raised us for long period of time. So that's the perspective that I'm bringing to my talk here. In 1987, Father Engelbert Muveng, who was member of the Ecumenical Association of Third World Theologians, said that they decided to have the Pan-African meeting in Egypt, in Cairo. And he explained that the reason, there were two major reasons. One, obviously, because ancient Egypt contributed tremendously to the values we have in the Bible, in Judaism, Christianity, and even to some degree, Islam. The second was that the vision of women in ancient Egypt was quite different from the Adam and Eve, where the woman is responsible for evil, for the downfall. And he thought that studying this ancient civilization, it can help African theologians come out with a different approach to feminist theology. That was in 1987. I put here, you have this mitochondrial DNA thing and some of the publications which are related to the topic. Now I'm going to go to the concept of Ubuntu and why it's relevant to the topic at hand. By the way, I think in South Africa, you already know that they found that when you study mitochondrial DNA, we have the San people are the oldest so far, proven genetically. They have the oldest genes because Africans have the largest genetic diversity. It means that they have been around for a long time. Then you had possibility of genetic mutation. So this theory is no longer speculation, but the point was to draw conclusion from that for philosophy, theology, etc. So let's go now to the Ubuntu. I'm talking from my culture, and I was fortunate to grow up in villages before going to Europe and here, so I know the mother tongue. And what I analyzed, I saw that we do have two categories. Buya means goodness, and the Bubi evil. And Muntu is a genuine human being, and Kintu is a thing. So somebody of bad character is somebody who is empty, who has fallen from the category of a genuine Muntu to become a Kintu. And then I found out that 4 major pillars of evaluation. By the way, for those who do comparative study, you find similar stuff in Hinduism, Buddhism, etc. The first, somebody is a genuine human being if he has good heart. And I will also add good thought, because in traditional society, it was understood that we think with our heart. So both, good thought, muchima muyampe. And the opposite, muchima mubi, evil thought or evil evil heart. The second is ludimi, that's the tongue, the speech. And then diso, which means you can do something good just by the way you look at somebody, by the glance only. And then bilongwa, those are deeds. So these are the 4 major pillars which allow us to look at a person if the person is a genuine good human being or no. And then if you put that in the context of, let's say, human beings. For instance, a tata is a father. A bad father becomes kitata. Mulume is a husband. A bad husband is called automatically kilume. So if people say kilume, it means somebody who is not loving, who is not responsible, etc., etc. Mulohwe is a king. Kilohwe is a bad king, a tyrant. When people say a bad king, it means literally somebody who is not human. By the way, for those who have studied these things, you know that in various African languages, you have these things in Swana, Soto, Zulu, Kosa, where say a human is a human being through other human beings. And somebody who destroys the life of other human beings destroys his own life in the process. And these allow us to have, you may say, 10 commandments. Ancient Egyptians had 42. And violence is one of them. So it's an evil kind of behavior. So an abusive husband is not a praise for being a man. No, he's considered a shame to the family, and so on and so on. So these is just some of the basic guidelines philosophically which enable us to address this issue of relationship between man and human. I want to finish with this poem that some of you may know. It was written in 1953 by a scholar, a man of letters from Guinea-Conakry. It was titled in French L'Enfant Noir. They translate as a black child or dark child. It's a classic text about love for his mother. He was a student in Paris, and then he remembered his childhood. Then he wrote this wonderful text where he says, black woman, African woman, oh my mother, I think of you. You who carried me on my back, you who suckled me when, who governed my first step, etc., etc., etc. For those who study literature, is one of the classical texts written by a man confessing his love for his mother. So there is a lot to say. I will just stop here. But before I stop, I just want to say this thing I learned from a Pope John Paul II. He passed away. There have been some others meanwhile. He said that Africa is poor in natural resources. However, it's endowed of priceless human qualities that it can use to solve African problems, that it can use to enrich the church and even the international community as a whole. That seems counterintuitive if we see all the disorder happening. What I want to stress with that is that the problem with Africa is after slave trade and colonization, we kind of forgot our traditional values. If Africa is the cradle of humanity, it means that Africa has been around for thousands of years without the help of American, French, British, or any other foreign power. So the issue would be then to assimilate our current religion, whether it's Islam or Christianity, and also remember the traditional values, ancestral values, which made life possible in that regard. So these are kind of what I would say, just food for thought, kind of things I would like to put on the table for our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mutombo. We now want to ask Prof. Mdende to speak. And she is, I think what is important to note is that Prof. Mdende carries a huge, she's a walking library. She's a forest when it comes to the African traditional knowledges and religion. And so we are really, really honored as SAFI to have her. I also want to say that we are honored to have Prof. Mdende together with Dr. Alan Busak. They are SAFI's Pan-African programs patrons. So we pull them in because we need to have our elders and people who have lived through many, many experiences, not accepted because they are responsive to their divine calling. And so Prof. Mdende is one of those elders and respected leaders amongst us. And so thank you for your commitment. And thank you for being here. Caroline, you want to say something about
Yes,
Prof?
please. I just want to add on, and I just think we're not going to do Prof justice if we don't, if I don't read your, just even a short bit of your bio. So Prof and I also go way back, many years, served on a board together. But I want to read it and say, Prof. Mdende is a distinguished South African academic, a cultural activist, and practitioner of African traditional religion. Prof. Mdende has authored several influential works on African spirituality. She's the founder and director of this Magu Heritage Institute, which serves as a close-up place of learning and spiritual practice. Prof is a member of the Nawanu Peace Prize Committee in Tokyo, Japan, representing African indigenous faith on the global interfaith stage. She's widely recognized for her work in elevating African indigenous spirituality to international status and was honored as a national living treasure in 2023. Prof. Mdende is a member of SAFI's Theological, like Elizabeth said, Advisory Council on GBV, and she, together with Alan Busak, serve as SAFI's Pan-African Program on Religion and GBV patrons. Thank you, Prof. Over to you.
What is 5
5 minutes.
Yes,
You know
I'll
what?
tell you,
I
I'll
can
tell you
talk
when
for
it's
20
5 minutes. I know, because you've got 10 minutes. I'll tell you
Yes.
when you're on 5,
Yes,
okay?
please.
Thank you.
Program directors, honorable speakers in South Africa and abroad, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Thank you so much. Because I talk too much, I want to gallop. But when it's time for questions, I'm available. And I am a paternal aunt to Tatobao, and I'm a grandmother to some. So I am going to be controversial. And Elizabeth knows that. That's why she invited me. Now, the question is, what men or women, an African perspective? If we look at what is happening, I'm going to be focusing on South Africa. Though there are many organizations and acts of parliament passed to fight GBV, it is escalating year by year. We talk about it, but it's escalating. We must ask ourselves why. That means something is not done right. Now, is it men? The answer is no. Is it women? The answer is no. Eh, Puti? My time. Oh, here. Okay. Okay, let me use this. Yes, yes. Is it men who must save? Is it men who must save women? The answer is no. Is it women who must save men? The answer is yes. The truth is, let us just speak the truth. I know sometimes the truth hurts. The truth is, men are naturally and psychologically weak. Oh, yes. And their only strength is physical. Hence, when faced with the problem, they resort to the physical, whether it's intimate or not intimate. The status, now I'm going to talk about my culture, Isabel, Elizabeth. The status of the child, if I'm talking about my culture, status of the child depends on the status of the mother and not the father. And the house belongs to the wife and her children, irrespective of who built it. And if there is a problem, when men, they keep it inside, it's natural. But with us, we don't keep it. I'm not going to interpret those who can interpret it can do that. Now we have got songs. Dithanda wena maqhawuli ngcingo lo mfana sencoba udlala ngothando lwam. You know, we're saying something to men. Ndoda miyalinda soze ndotheza kwenye ilali undivuse ekuseni undivisela umnqongo. Uyasebenza umfazi uhlala ethi kuduku uzawuba nengxaki. So we don't keep anything inside, but unfortunately men keep them, but when it bursts out the wrong way. Now let us be honest, we are saying it's escalating instead of decreasing. Why is it like that? Who is the culprit? The culprit is government. I will explain that. The government passes laws that are foreign and laws that are supporting patriarchy. And I know Elizabeth is not going to disagree, not going to agree with me here. And a region that portrays a God who is a man. And he has only a begotten son and no begotten daughter. So this makes men to be pompous. And the government is using a foreign law with a sacred text that was written by men. From an African perspective, the use of intimacy is too minimal. You are intimate with your wife in your bedroom, others outside your bedroom. Your wife belongs to the family. Parliament is passing laws that are destroying the nature of families. Parliament passes laws that are individualistic, laws that are feminizing men. Parliament passes laws that undermine the role of parents who are uniting the families. Everybody has a constitutional right to do whatever he or she likes. You find that in South Africa, Julie, where you do what you like. So this cannot decrease the level of gender-based violence in intimate relationships. What should we do? We should talk to Parliament. And I like it because there are scholars who have seen this. If we look, for instance, at Hans Sungule, he says, at independence, the new African regimes run by native Africans surprisingly perpetrate the contempt imposed by Western systems on indigenous knowledge instead of using the opportunity of independence to reinstate the supremacy of the indigenous law. The fact that our voices are not heard now because of the laws that are made in Parliament. I'm challenging that judge from the Constitutional Court who gave an instruction to Parliament to say that, hey, you must go and review that law on Home Affairs where there is this man who wants to use, because of his rights, the surname of his wife. No, that is not allowed in our culture. Usbayeni law. So we can't have such a weak man. Who is he going to be angry of now if he is using the surname of his wife? That's confusion, and it's confusing the children. But I don't understand those judges that are in that Constitutional Court. And it's a pity because the Chief Justice, Umandisa Umxhosa, I wonder where was she when this was decided. There is a problem there. Customary law has always, it's not me now saying this, customary law has always been treated as a stepchild in the South African legal order. As long as customary law is undermined by the Roman Dutch law, gender-based violence is going to increase. And this, even Diala, he says, African custom and tradition are subject to state courts. Importantly, these courts, both procedurally and content-wise, are replicas of the colonial justice system. He's even saying that these judges are clones of the Western law. They are clones. So what is happening? I know I'm going to be challenged because I'm challenging the judiciary and that Parliament. They are foreign institutions in Africa. What they are doing, they are not doing it for the benefit of the indigenous children. Not at all. Our identity is getting lost day by day by our own people now.
Prof, you have 3 minutes left.
And, okay, 5, ne? Oh. I didn't hear saying 5. This is because the laws compel. Now I'm going to finish the indigenous laws to become them. The judges and the legislators who compel these adaptation in indigenous laws rarely address the dissonance between the communal nature of the indigenous norms and the individualistic nature of the state laws. So we're just playing, I'm telling you. Unless, now the Children's Act, now he's talking about an unmarried father. Here you are not a father, man, if you are unmarried. Well, you're not a father. So now the unmarried father has got a right to say, this child, sweetheart, can use my surname. And I find that at home, my girl who has got a boyfriend at UCT and she's pregnant, they got a child. And then this boyfriend, whom I don't even know the parents, and he said, okay, always to know. And now, she comes home with my grandchild. She is always too noble, my mother. Who is this noble? I don't know them. Then it's confusing. Now I've got this pseudo son-in-law that I don't even know in my home. So that is the problem. So that Children's Act is problematic, and he has got a right to say you can go to court if the mother is deceased. My daughter is deceased, and this young man that I don't even know has got a right to take my grandchild. I don't even know the parents. That's why I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, as long as the laws that are made in parliament are foreign and are supporting patriarchy by our own people, I'm telling you, this gender-based violence is going to increase. It's going nowhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. I don't think we need to add anything to Prof. Thank you, Prof. Prof clearly showed us how patriarchal systems and is what caused the harm, and how patriarchy drives gender-based violence. Thank you, Prof. We're going to have our multi-country panel up next, discussion now, and I think all the presenters are online. We've got Pastor Esdras Kelly, Dr. Oliver Williams and Bishop Roderick Mitchell, and Pastor Stephen Torr. So before they start, I just want to give you an overview of who they are. Pastor Esdras Kelly was born in the Dominican Republic on the Caribbean island in the North Atlantic Ocean. He plays a leading role in the Assemblies of God Church in DR, primarily in Santo Domingo. He is recognized as one of the influential evangelical leaders in the country, participating in national conferences and events aimed at spiritual growth and social support. Safi was privileged to participate at the launch of 3 routes of transformation in Dominican Republic in 2024. That's Pastor Esdras Kelly. Then Dr. Oliver Williams served. Is Dr. Esdras here? Oh, sorry, Dr. Oliver Williams. He's not present? He's not well. Okay, then we'll move on to Bishop Roderick Mitchell. He's the founder and pastor of the New Life Church in Cleveland, Mississippi, a role he has held since March 1994. He's also the bishop and founder of the Militus Covenant Connection, an international network comprising 32 churches. As a prominent faith leader and advocate against domestic violence, notably serving as a director and key contributor to the African American Domestic Peace Project. As a child survivor of domestic violence himself, Mitchell has dedicated much of his ministry to ending violence against women and families. He co-founded Our House, Inc., New Birth to Violence-Free Living in 1995 to serve survivors of domestic and sexual violence in the Mississippi Delta. Bishop Mitchell was also recognized as a champion of change by the White House for his work in fatherhood and domestic violence prevention. Is Pastor Stephen Torr here?
Yes, I know we've had some technical issues, but
He is here. Okay, Pastor Stephen Torr is a Liberian Christian leader and the senior pastor of World Harvest Church, Liberia, located in the New Georgia West Estate, Gardnersville, Monrovia since 2007. He is known for his long-term vision of social and spiritual transformation in Liberia through holistic hope centers. Pastor Stephen is an anchor for SAFI Liberia Pan-African Program on Religion and GBV. Can I please ask Pastor Esdras then to go first? And if you can please turn on your camera, Pastor. Thank you. So you will have 10 minutes each. Thank you. And then we'll go on to Dr. Oliver Williams. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here this morning. For me, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I had a great opportunity to bless my day, starting with this panel today. I was the privilege to be in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, a couple days with more than 1 week, and I enjoyed there the people in a huge conference, people from around the world. So it's so happy to be in Africa again. And we are going to talk about the masculinity that protects. I come from the Caribbean, but we share a fundamental truth that transcends oceans. We believe that the human being, men and women, was created in the image of God, equal in dignity. In your beautiful continent, you have a philosophy that captures this perfectly, and it is Ubuntu. I am because you are. The interconnection is exactly what God intended when He placed us in families. Our homes are meant to be environments of love and protection. However, we must be honest. In my region, and perhaps in yours, this image has been distorted by a culture of dominance and machismo that is deeply rooted. We are here today to discuss a necessary cultural reconfiguration of what it means to be a man. To lead effectively, we must look at the data with courage. In Dominican Republic, in my country, the statistics reveal a painful reality. In the last 10 years, we have recorded over 842,000 reports of gender-based and domestic violence. This is not a series of isolated events. It is a systemic crisis that affects our very social fabric. Most of this violence happens within the homes, the place that should be a sanctuary. It is a sinful mark on our society that we must eradicate. This violence is often a learned behavior, passed down from generation to generation through a damaged system that desperately needs redemption. But there is hope. We are moving beyond pure reaction to strategic prevention. My country is implementing a model aligned with international standards like the Belém do Pará Convention, a convention that took place in Brazil that is about preventing, punishing, and eradicating violence against women. The cornerstone of our approach is the Behavioral Intervention Centers for Men. These centers are not just about punishment. They are about re-education. Only in 2025, over 12,000 men asked for help to modify their violent patterns. In my country, we focus on transforming the mind, recognizing that when a man understanding is captive to toxic habits, he believes masculinity must be expressed through possession and violence. We combine this with a specialized legal protection for victims through service that ensure justice is accessible to all. So leaders, the state can create policies, but the state cannot change the man heart. True transformation begins when I, as a man, decide to reflect on the harm I caused. So I'd like to finish to propose a grassroots awakening. First, community tables. We need a space where men can sit over a cup of coffee and dismantle the sayings, idioms, proverbs, popular sayings, popular song, and narrative that reinforce abuse. And we can see this in my country, like expression like "men don't cry," "don't be a girl," "take it like a man." Women don't have to be understood, only love. Or he only does it because he likes you. All these expressions only normalize the mistreatment between teenagers and produce the harms of violence. Second, conscious parenting. We are raising the next generation of parents in our homes today. The legacy we are leaving them must be one of love, not fear. We must make sure of promoting good treatment to the women in our family and social circles, so our kids, our children, can take it as an example and learn from us the way of managing situation with respect and consideration. And third, leading from love. A man who respects his women respects the will of God. We must respect and protect all women in our circles. This is a fundamental principle of Pacific shared lives that promotes life and development at home and the community. We must use our strength like a man to provide and to love, never to dominate. We must answer the call to be a good, godly man. So let us promote a masculinity that embraces, that provide affection and respect. When we protect the dignity of women, we protect the image of God, and that changes everything. If we want a community transformed by love, we must take the first step. Let us break the cycle of violence one man at a time and one home at a time. Let's change a painful culture to a dignity culture for our women, for our children, and for our society. I pray for our hearts to be softened to the call of God as leader, so we can make this happen starting in our home, in our community, and promoting in our influence circles, for the sake of our families, for the sake of our nations, and for the glory of the Creator. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Esdras. Can we ask Dr. Oliver Williams? You're up next. Are you here? Is he online?
No, ma'am, he's not able to be on this morning.
Okay, thank you. Bishop Roderick Mitchell, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. I'm certainly humbled to have been graced with the privilege to share with Safi and all of you that are assembled from various geographical locations in this time of our collectively advancing the knowledge and the understanding of how it is that we should protect our women and our children as well regarding gender-based violence. Let me say that Dr. Williams would have loved to have been here. and I'm going to ask, I'm asking for your prayers regarding his health. He's really been challenged health-wise, hospitalized for over 3 weeks or so, and we are in prayer regarding his being in need of a kidney in that respect. And so we do welcome your praying with us in terms of his well-being regarding his health. We are a part, I serve under him. He is our director as it relates to the African American Domestic Peace Project here in the United States. And it has been very effective in terms of our being able to reach various ethnicities and religious affiliations and backgrounds and all. And so I was privileged to be able to join with Dr. Williams and the African American Domestic Peace Project, being a survivor of domestic violence for many, many years. And after having come in contact with he and this organization, being able to travel and journey around the country to be able to share these 3 programs that have been given, that we are instrumental. I live in a real small rural community in Mississippi here in the United States, and our effort to eradicate and eliminate gender-based violence. I use what occurred with my life from a child up to when I was privileged to actually be on my own, to not allow that particular type of behavior to be perpetuated in the lives of others. When I was privileged to go to the White House here in the United States, and as it relates to work that we had been doing in terms of taking this stand against gender-based violence, intimate partner violence as well. I was talking with the Vice President of the United States and the Attorney General of the United States, and had to give them a statement as to why I was involved in this type of work. And I shared with them, and we take a strong stand now as it relates to developing boys and men and taking this stand. The last phrase or the last statement as it relates to the Star Spangled Banner, which our national anthem, it says, America is to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And taking that statement that there is no freedom in a home, in a family, as it has been shared regarding that of living, not knowing if you're going to be able to live through another day based on the violence that's in that home. That's not freedom. And so we go through a list of things as it relates to what is freedom really. But in order for that to happen, then in order for America to be the land of the free, then there has to be those that take a stand in being brave to go forth as it has to do with this change in society. And so with having said that, there are 3 programs that we have implemented and instituted in terms of the curtailing of or the removal of or the taking away of gender-based violence, intimate partner violence as well. And these 3 programs that we work with and that we have developed and are still continually developing happens to be MASH. MASH, M-A-S-H. It stands for Men Against Spousal Harm. Okay. The second program we have is called SHIFT, and it stands for Seeking Heavenly Instruction for Transformation. All right. And then our third program happens to be Salvaging the Seed. And that is where we begin with young boys as it relates to that of the importance of loving their mother, their sister, females in that respect. Okay. And we have been even privileged in our area to go into the schools and share our program of Salvaging the Seed, as opposed to waiting to as opposed to waiting until they become adults. We begin in what we call the boys. We call them the seed. All right, and that of also saying unto them that this process of developing them psychologically in their mindsets, as it has to do with the interacting and the involvement of the female gender in that regard. We let them know that they are seed and not weeds. We explain to them in terms of a weed happens to be that which is, it just comes up and it's wild in that sense. But the planting of a seed, there is that of cultivating it and developing it. And so regarding that mindset in that regard. And so from a faith-based perspective, as we share, for instance, the word of God, like in Colossians 3:19, where it says, husbands, love your wives and never treat them harshly. In speaking to the young men, the boys, as well as the adults. Many of the men that come to our program, and we're privileged to meet with them, it's been because we work very, very closely with the court system. They have been mandated to come to counseling. They have to come. We have a 52-week program. We have a 26-week program. We have a 12-week program, and then a 6-week program. And it's mandated by the courts that they have to come. There is a fee that they have to pay. And if it is that they come, they begin the process, and for whatever reason it is that they discontinue, they drop out, then they have to go back to court, and it's possible that they can be incarcerated in that regard because of not following through what the court has mandated. All right. And so quickly here, just a few things that we communicate and share with MASH, Men Against Spousal Harm, Shift, Seeking Heavenly Instruction for Transformation and Salvaging the Seed. We talk about and share with them what's true power. Only when power is used to enhance someone else's freedom, that's when it's being used well. And then as well, we share with them that we've been called as men to protect, because championing the safety of women and children respectfully in our relationships is a priority for all men. In addressing repentance, the change of mind in that regard, transformation. It is our prayer that men who have learned to use violence may within, operating from the inside out, may within begin to have a change of mind, which is the word repentance, and has to do with healing. And then sharing with them that violence is a choice, so we just have to make the right choice in that regard. And so love, respect, spiritual leadership, attention, devotion, enjoyment, all of these are principles that from a psychological perspective, we work with these men in that regard. And so in concluding as well, we say to them, listen, as it relates to the women, it's never their fault. And if they have, even me as a survivor, I had to learn to reinforce that thinking and that thought that it was not my mom's fault and it was not my fault as a child. And so thank you so very much for allowing us to share with you in this time. I conclude with this statement, and all of us working together, that weism is better than meism. We are better together. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Bishop Mitchell. I'm going to hand over our last one on the panel to Pastor Stephen Tor. I know, I think there is that him? There it is, Reverend Stephen Tor. He is there. Reverend Tor, can you hear us? He's on mute. Okay, while we wait for him, can we move on then? Can we ask if there's any questions or comments around Pastor Easter's and Bishop Mitchell's input?
Or any input
Any
that has
input,
gone
yes,
before.
yeah.
Do you want to read? Is there input that you can read, or questions or comments online? Ashwin?
Okay. Good morning, everyone, once again. So there's one comment that came through. That was the time that Prof. Ndende was doing a presentation. It is Veshe, if I'm saying that correctly. She is saying that those laws need to be revisited and engage with communities as they affect us more, people on the ground. Then from Reverend Zooks Fumba, saying thanks, Pastor Edris, and then Pelisa saying with clapping hands, Mam Ndende.
Yeah. Are we able to get Pastor Stephen on? I know that he indicated that there was issues with his mic and with his video. So I think we will proceed because we wanna just move. I know our time is tight. We also need to stretch at least, even if it's for a couple
5
of
minutes.
But let's have some.
Yes.
Yes.
Before stretch,
Before stretch. Okay, Rev Zooks. Yes, we're gonna have
good
comments
morning.
first. Yes. Go
Okay,
ahead,
good
Zooks.
morning. Good morning to everyone, and thank you to all the speakers who have spoken this morning. Sorry that I keep on cutting, but I've gathered the essence of the talks that have come in thus far. But Prof. Ndende, I know she made a disclaimer that she's going to be controversial, and she has been deeply controversial in my view. I just want to hear from Prof. Ndende. I know she was under pressure with time, and she made a very shaking statement of conviction when she asked the question whether men can save women, and she responded, not at all, but women can. And if she can just assist more on that, isn't that a problematic representation to say, under the circumstances of trying to say, you are because I am?
Thanks, Lux. I'm going to ask Mdende to just hold on. Can you please introduce yourself? Because you know you're a very important person, all of you. So when you speak, just please introduce yourself. Thanks.
No, we're first waiting on you.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, not sure. Okay. My name is Laura Bartman. I'm the Deputy Director for Court Preparation Services in the National Prosecuting Authority. Thank you very much for this invitation. My comment goes to, I think it's Bishop Mitchell. I completely enjoyed listening to your programs that you have that's mandatory with regards to your criminal procedures. While with our criminal procedures, we have the similar programs, but I just wanted to find out from you statistically, how successful are your 3 programs? I heard that you said that some of the programs stretch over 6 weeks, 52 weeks. We do not have that long of a time to deal with certain programs because we do not have the necessary localized services, if I can call it like that, in all our communities. Our rural community suffers a lot because the services are lacking that side, including our own services as the NPA. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Department of Justice, but I do work with them as my sister government. And in that regard, we also struggle with our own departments. So I just wanted to know how successful are those 3 programs? Because I did hear you say it's mandatory, and if they do not comply, they have to go back to court. We have a similar system, just in terms of that particular process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. In response to your question in our area, as we've been working with it for over a period of 25 years, it has been quite successful percentage-wise. Out of 100%, let me say honestly, it's about 70% effective in terms of its structure, in terms of the of change of life or lifestyle in our area, and we're still working to get it even in a higher percentage. But at the present time, it's about 70% effective, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Prof.
Yes, ma'am.
Mutandi.
Thanks, Zooks. Before I answer, please allow me to apologize to my friend next to me. Well, I proved today that I'm a real diviner. With the example that I made of my daughter coming back with a child, Olwethu Ngcobo. I didn't even know that she is Ngcobo. So she was shocked when I mentioned Olwethu Ngcobo. That is Olwethu Ngcobo. So that's no. I just Ngcobo just came. Yes, just came out. To Zooks, yes, I said we don't need men to save us, and you must save men. There is a paper that I'm writing on reclaiming our original state. Women must reclaim our original state, because even these arranged marriages that we are having today is because men are abusing that tradition. Otherwise, in the past, it was initiated by women for various reasons. It was not initiated by men. And with us, it's not the question of men saving us. It's a question of how families work together to have those gender roles and so on and so on. So, and who were in the center of that is women. That is why in our tradition, there is a practice that the child born by a married woman belongs to the man he is married to. Whether he was in Joburg or somewhere else, and the woman in the rural areas had that child belongs to him. He can't complain. Ubepi, where was he? So that child belongs to that man. So all these laws were 80% feminine. That is why even with the diviners, you will find that you won't separate a male diviner from a female diviner. They are all wearing skirts. So it is men. Men, they are always ruled by matriarchy, not by patriarchy. So that is why you are saying, well, there are gender roles, but those resources, they are not there to help women. They are there to help families.
Thank you, Prof. I hope that covers you, Reverend Zukisa. We all know that Prof. Mdendi has got, you know, I don't want to call it, but controversial views at times. And it's sometimes, but we need to have these difficult, uncomfortable conversations, you know. If we're not always going to all agree on everything. And that's your view. And yeah. Thank you, Prof. But you're still one of my favorite profs.
You know that.
Yes. Thank you. We're going to, I'm not sure, do we need a body break? Do we need a body break in the room? Just maybe stand. Just a minute body break.
And because I'm aware of the
And we, yes, and there's international person still to speak, and as we know, it's early hours of the morning there. So if we can just stand and then we can start again. Thank you. Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah, just 2 minutes. So the multi-faith point, so we here, no?
Are we able to get Pastor Stephen, or what's the?
Because he says he can hear us, but there's no video. So now we're trying to speak to still.
Pastor Stephen, are you sorted? Are you able to connect again? Are you able to use your phone? You've got the link on your phone, don't you? Are you? Is it possible if Pastor Stephen, can he not speak? Isn't there a way that you can, if he speaks like on the phone, that you can put him on the speaker? Like he's speaking, we are talking, I'm talking to him now. Okay, all right. Because I think it's important to just have the Liberian input as well. Okay, thanks, Pastor Stephen. So we'll call you when you're going to be on, okay? And then we'll just try and do it via the phone. Okay? Shall we try that? Okay, thank you. All right. All right. Are we back?
Yes.
Um,
We can start. 2 minutes or so.
are we good, folk? The others can just join. So thank you again, Caroline. You did something that is very important, which I'm not good at. You read the speakers' bios, and Mutombo. I feel like, I haven't, in that way, I haven't done justice. So I'm going to ask Caroline, because she's so brilliant in doing that, to just while the other folk are gathering,
Back in
if she
the
can
room,
just
yes.
read Prof. Mutombo. No?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yes, okay. So Prof. Mutombo Nkula Nsenga was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He was trained by Jesuits and earned his doctorate at Temple University. He studied with some of the founders of modern African literature and philosophy. He is a scholar and activist focused on African ethics and peace, and specializes in African philosophy, human rights, and the Ubuntu paradigm, which means the philosophy of genuine personhood. He is professor of religious studies at California State University, Northridge. He is also a visiting professor at the University of Kamina in the Congo. He teaches courses on world religions, African traditional religions, and religion, violence, and peace. He is author of numerous publications, including contributions to the Encyclopedia Britannica on Bantu philosophy, and works on African ethics and interreligious dialogue. Our Professor Mutombo Nkulo Nsenge.
Tom, sorry, Prof. That was just me. You know, I'm bad like that. That's why I know I need support. I need structured support. And so I just wanted to be sure that we actually name that in the space as well. You have spoken earlier. You don't have to speak again unless you have a response. You know, but I just really wanted, because there's something about when not just men, all of us, but particularly men, who then get to be in very influential positions, what does their humanity actually look like? How does it manifest? And so it's also important for us to know that amongst us are some incredible people, you know. And so that was just my way of trying to make right, you know. So I apologize that we didn't do it earlier, but the folk know who you are. Do you have a response, Mutombo? Not? Okay,
No.
thank you. Thank you for your grace. So it is now my privilege, and I'm going to ask Caroline, because she reads good, man. She reads good. So I'm going to ask Caroline to just read for us another incredible person that will now speak to us from the Baha'i faith. And he's also a scholar. This is Dr. Solomon.
Oh, yes, I've got it.
Dr. Solomon Balay. He's Ethiopian, but, you know, based in Canada. He'll be speaking to us from Canada.
Sure.
So, Caroline, please.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So Dr. Solomon Balay, a prominent representative of the Baha'i international community and an academic who bridges spiritual principles with social and environmental actions in Africa. He is an assistant professor of science education at Addis Ababa University, where his research focuses on curriculum, studies, instructional design, and indigenous knowledge systems. He frequently collaborates with other faith-based organizations, such as the All Africa Conference of Churches and United Religions Initiative, to foster interfaith dialogue on shared ethics and social progress. Dr. Solomon Balay.
Isn't that just wonderful? That gives context. So thank you so much, Dr. Solomon. You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I think you hear me well. I hope. So yeah, well, I'm in a transition stage. So I was still until recently, I was participating in interfaith discourse so deeply. I am going to quote vociferously, like much of my presentation will be a direct presentation from the Baha'i writings. So the Baha'i writings usually emphasis on partnership, on equality, and also, of course, men have to support women, and women have to also vice versa also support the men. My leading quote for today is as follows: the humanity has two wings. This is a very basic principle of the Baha'i faith, which says the world of has two wings. One is women and the other. Not until both wings are equally developed can the bird fly. Should one wing remain weak, flight is impossible. So as you can see, it really emphasizes that both wings should be strong, strong. There has to be in relationship, in companionship, in friendship. Unless these two wings function well, humanity cannot fly. So what women do or what men do for women or vice versa is also is concerning our own survival. Again, in the Baha'i writings, we read that the Lord, peerless is He, has made woman and man to abide with each other in the closest companionship and to be even as a single soul. They are two helpmates, two intimate friends who should be concerned about the welfare of each other. If they live thus, they pass through this world with perfect contentment, bliss, and peace of heart, and become divine grace and favor in the kingdom of heaven. But if they do other than this, they will live out their lives in great bitterness, longing at every moment for days, and will be shamefaced in the heavenly realm. So, as you know, sometimes what impresses me most, this marriage, the marriage stories, the marriage jokes are very universal, because first of all, human beings are one, and the relationship seems to be very, very universal. So I'm going to share you a very, a joke that quickly circulates in the social media. At some point, a person asks his spiritual father, how can I live for eternity? I want to live in this world for eternity, forever. And the man tells him, okay, probably the good advice is you should marry. The person say, oh, what? Can I live forever if I marry? He says, yeah, at least you will stop wishing, you don't want. This is a bad joke, I know, but it shows of when the object of divine grace and favor is not, we're not abiding by the law of God, if we are not striving to make each other happy, we know that marriage turns into bitterness, and as stated earlier, we long for every moment for days. Probably those of you who have been into a bad marriage knows that people wish for their days because of that. So the advice is that we need to strive to abide heart and soul with each other as to doves in the nest, for this is to be blessed in both worlds. So why should we do in partnership, in companionship, Why should we support each other, particularly men, becoming resources for the of women? First of all, unless and equality is established, true attainment for the human race will not be facilitated. I give you a quick example of Norway. Norway, they did a good study because people thought their development comes from the discovery of oil. But then they found out that, in its true sense, their development came from the investment that they made on the empowerment of women. That they educated their women, they educated their girls, and then finally, of course, through social development, through progress, they harvested the result. The other important rationale for why we do that is it is conducive to the abolition of warfare, for the reasons that women will never be willing to sanction it. A woman, a mother invests, let's say, 20 years in rearing her child, in nurturing her child. She will never allow her child to go to war, to die for war, sometimes for really purposeless war. Men are usually, like as mentioned earlier, is a bit, physical. They think in terms of physical, so it's easier for them to sanction war. But for women, never, because they have carried nine months in their womb, and then of course later they have sacrificed a lot. They don't want their kids to go to war. The other important point rationally why we need to do is when womankind may develop equal capacity and importance with man in the social and economic equation, what will happen is the world will attain unity and harmony. See, much of the division in this world, much of the violence, much of the hatred comes because of inequality. Inequality returns itself in a variety of forms. When we are equal, when there is justice, the probability that there will be unity and harmony is high. This is, I mean, scientifically proven stuff too, you know, like if you consider the body, each cell in the body is served with justice. It is provided with whatever it needs and is expected to contribute what it can. So through that justice, the body works in harmony and unity. The other rationale for doing this is when the equality of men and women is fully established and attained, the highest social development of mankind is possible. Yeah, maybe I have elaborated it earlier. The other important point why men should support or that we need to realize equality is that woman has greater moral courage than the man. That's another point. She has also special gifts which enable her to govern in moments of danger and crisis. I give you as an example, you remember during COVID, the global crisis, the countries who were able to survive well was like Germany, and New Zealand, and both also another examples. They were headed by women, So this is that they have a natural talent or natural ability to care and love unconditionally. It is in their nature. So in terms of crisis and danger, women can respond better, can govern better. That's why we need to bring, particularly at this moment in time, we need to bring women into leadership. The last point I would like to make in terms of the rationale is that the happiness of mankind will be realized when women and men coordinate and advance equally. For each is a complement and helpmate of the other. See? Happiness comes when you feel you're completed, you're complemented. And as you know, women are half of the population. In marriage, 50%, more than 50% are the women, their presence, their support. So, like we cannot function off. We also say one hand cannot clap. So in order to complete, in order to feel happy, and we need women. So finally, I want to read one last quote, which I will leave for your reflection. It's very important, this quote. As long as women are prevented from attaining their highest possibilities, so long will men be unable to achieve the greatness which might be theirs. It's very important for men, particularly this advice is very important for men. Whenever we talk of the equality of women, the sharing of benefits and all this, the sharing of passing of leadership, men have this grudge that women are overtaking, or women are really overtaking, they are benefiting and all this, but it is for our own benefit. Unless women achieve their highest possibilities, men will never achieve theirs. That's the point. So it also complements with what I was saying earlier in terms of economical progress, social progress, happiness, unity. The women must be empowered. Men have to do whatever in our capacity to assist women to flourish, to prosper, so that even we also achieve our own greatness. That is more or less the insight from the Baha'i writings. I would be happy to respond to any question or comment later.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon. I want to just, Caroline, just for the sake of the folk that has been up, basically, they're working night shift, basically. Prof. Mutombo, Dr. Solomon, Bishop Mitchell. I know that, I think maybe Pastor Esdras, I don't know whether he's still here, he may have left already. So I want to just open the floor, for specific questions and comments. For example, especially to Prof. Mutombo, Dr. Solomon. I know there was already a question for Bishop Mitchell, but I'm just wondering if there's any comments, any surprises or comments that you would like to make to Bishop to Mutombo or Solomon, Dr. Solomon. Any comments? Yes, please.
Well, it's addressed to Dr. Mutombo,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps even others can answer it. I want to know to my fellow Africans, if addressing our issue, I know it's going to be difficult, if addressing our issues in English does not interfere with the real issues. The reason I'm saying that, perhaps Mangobo will also help. We are talking of gender equality. Well, to us, that gender equality applies economically. But to our situations at home, to me, the way I analyze it, once I talk of gender equality, that means I approve that men are superior to women. So we want to be uplifted and be equal to them. So I'm worried about that equality. I don't know what is the right term, whether equity, whether equity is the right term. I'm worried about that gender equality.
Yes.
And secondly, the question of language, that's the last question. You know, sometimes I feel offended. You can see most I'm strong. And perhaps even in my face, I look like my father, not like my mother. But there is a term in isiXhosa, I don't know in isiZulu, that unokuzola unonga indoda. Unonga indoda. Unonga indoda is I'm like a man. I'm strong like a man. So I'm not like a woman. But I don't take that as a compliment, because that means I'm not right where I am. I'm just like a man. So what I want to know, what should we do about the problem of language which doesn't talk what we are actually saying?
Thanks, Prof. Prof. Mutombo.
Thank you so much. I think this is a very important issue. I think scholars know that Ngugi wa Thiong'o addressed this problem, not only for the issue at hand here, but for whatever we do. We know that naturally, African languages are gender inclusive. So if I write in Swahili, Kiluba, Zulu, Xhosa, it's going to be different. When you write in French or English, you are forced, or German, you are forced to use. I think it's what Professor Ndende is raising is a very, very important. It would be interesting to see if the same thing we talk about when you write them in an African language, they will not be the same like in French. But it's again an issue of going back to our tradition, of course, modernized, but we need really to learn from tradition. When she was talking about the role of women, society where the woman is the head of the household, the children, etc. This is not fictitious. In the Congo, we have the Bakongo. Among the Bakongo today, that's the situation. I know that we have a famous theologian from Ghana who is Akan, Mercy Ambo Duyoye. She also comes from that tradition. So when people make standard laws which overlook, the role of women, this kind of thing, I think is a very, very serious issue. Thanks so much, Professor. And then we have to see how we phrase these things when we use African languages. Let me give you just one example of the richness of Africa. We have been told that African languages are poor. That's not true. If you take the word love, for instance, there is a language I know in Africa where to say I love you, you say kusenswe. Kusansa means pain. If I have a headache, I say mutu unsansa. So if I say to somebody kusenswe, it means your joy is my joy, your pain is my pain. I suffer when you suffer. such a thing does not exist in French. I have to find different words if I want to say. The last word, and I will stop here. In my mother tongue, Kiluba, which is close to Zulu, we do not have a heavy wife. We say, Ndi Nemukaji, I am with the wife. So if I write, it brings all kind of, and for theologian, we know if you translate the Bible in Swahili or Zulu, etc., of course, oppression exists, but we have different issues, feminists in the US, Canada, and so on. So the issue of language is very, very serious.
Thanks, Prof. Sikolile. Just another question.
Good morning. My name is Sikolile Ngobo. I actually have a question for Prof. Solomon. So you mentioned, you gave an example around the case study of Norway, and I happen to have worked for Norwegians in a long time ago. And I ask this question because here in South Africa, we are just recently been confronted by the fact that we now have to divide the 4 months maternity leave into 2. So, and then it's 2 plus 10 days now. So as a woman who has carried a child for 9 months, we are now having to negotiate 2 months and 5 days of maternity leave and then give the 2 months, 5 days to the men who never even carried the child, just donated a sperm in a second or in 1 minute, I don't know. But because we are going with this obsession around equality and doing equality where it doesn't really need to be equality, in my view is the law people should have actually extended maternity leave into 6 months, number one, because any child needs to lactate for 6 months. That's a World Health Organization provision. But then extend another 6 months for the men after 6 months of the mother having had the child. Then they extended, so they should have given us a maternity leave for 1 year actually, 12 months, if they were actually looking at the best interest of the child. So I'm wondering here now whether the equality is always just balanced between the men and the women. We don't consider the family, we don't consider the community, we don't consider the society. I just want to hear from your side, because you raised an issue, and I remember the representative that was our leader at that point, she actually came over with her husband for the 3 years that they were in Southern Africa, and the husband was fully paid his salary looking after their boys. So you see, so the investment for me, I think, can you just speak a little bit around there, because there must be a proper investment, not a low investment. Yeah.
Thanks, Ikolile. Dr. Solomon?
Thank you so much. That's a good question. I mean, both questions raised from Professor and yourself. I think what we need in this context is to redefine equality. What do we mean by equality? Is it that we can carry equal burden, like 100 quintals each? Do we have equal number of muscles, or, so if equality need to be redefined or need to be contextualized in the African context, not necessarily in the African context, but in terms of what is needed for the society. What do we need for the society to prosper? What do we need the society to be happy? So, for example, let me give you a quick example of an Ethiopian indigenous, a point that I scanned from an Ethiopian indigenous society called Afar. Is the people who live in eastern Ethiopia. So in their indigenous system, administrative system, if a woman accuses a man, she's not required to bring witnesses. She's not required to bring witness. She can bring the one, she can accuse him. The judge have to decide with what she said. they need to trust her words, or they trust her words. This is very important, you know. In that now, men will be very careful to not to violate the rights of a woman, you know, because once she goes to the judge, basically they will be punished, you know, there will be a punishment administered to them. So now, in a way, it prevented violence, you know. The men are very careful how they treat their women, their wives. So you don't see much violence in Afar, you know, in terms of like gender-based violence. So what do we mean by equality? First of all, and also I was giving an example of our body. The bodies, if you see our body parts, the organs, they have different specializations. They have different functions. But in terms of their need for the body, the whole system, they are equal. You know, you can't say, "Oh, I don't need the heart. The lung is much more. Well, I need the lung more." Or you don't say, "I need the brain more." No, they are all equally needed. So, in terms of maintaining peace and security, the women are needed more, whether they are rearing a child or in any aspect. This is the thing. The society has to value their womanhood, the service that they offer to the society. Like rearing a child is very important in the community. So I don't, for example, agree a woman, in fact, even struggling to get maternity leave or remaining behind in terms of her profession because she took leave from her office. So that's how we should reorganize ourselves. First of all, we have to list what is needed in order to maintain a prosperous society, what is the contribution of women, and how should we evaluate. That's how we need to redefine equality, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Solomon. This is one of the things that Safi believes. That's why for us as Africans, if you are working with African people, gender-based violence, whatever, it becomes critical for us to engage and look very critically at how we were trained, who trained us. We must talk about colonialism. We must talk about apartheid. We must talk about how we were schooled and trained to see ourselves and to see the people that we are working with, that we seek to serve. And so, on a very radical note, might be radical, you know, we like to also judge when we begin to interpret life and our realities, we call Prof. Mdende controversial. It's not controversial, it's truth. You know, there's a lot of truth. When we begin to unpack, even listening to Prof. Mutombo's presentation, most of us can resonate. When a person is no longer a person, what do we call them? Wat gaat aan met die ding in Afrikaans? In Afrikaans on the Cape Flats, if somebody is acting really bad and has, in a sense, lost their humanity, wat sê ons in Afrikaans? Wat gaat aan met die ding? What is ding kin to? What's it kin to? That term. What is going on with this thing, right? Now, it's because our yearning inside is we know that this person has lost his humanity. And so what Safi is talking about, even this whole question around gender, even just gender itself, these concepts, these words that we are interacting with, these are words and things that we have inherited. And it's now in the laws. We have to engage it. We have to talk now about masculinity and femininity and all of these things, because we are living in this reality now. But I believe it becomes quite crucial for us when we reach deep into our own Africanness as a people. We do understand that actually we don't start talking. In fact, one of the questions we ask when we do our workshops with some of the religious leaders and other folk that we work with, we ask, when was the first time that you discovered you are a man? When was the first time you discovered you are a woman? Because you will understand, you will know that when you were born, you didn't know automatically, naturally, that you are whatever your gender is, right? It is only when people started to treat you a certain way because of the body, biological makeup. And so I think it really is important that we begin to be courageous. The world is shifting, people, as we all are in this time. And there's a yearning, there's an urgency for those of us who are in leadership, scholars, whoever, all of us doing this work, that we begin to be a little bit more courageous about bringing the resources from our own truths into our work. Prof. Mutombo?
Thank you so much. I want just to add one example to what Dr. Solomon was talking about, and Dr. Ndende. I think for people in law, there is need to study, again, our tradition. Let me give you an example. If I were to ask you, in the US, according to American law, what is the age for marriage for women? You will tell me 18. Not true. That's the federal law, which is the same like the UN. In various states, we have a bishop here from Mississippi. This whole southern part here, what they call the Bible Belt, marriage is accepted for 15, 16. Why? Because the issue was if the young girl is pregnant, it's a shame for the family. So they manage that the young man marries her, and this is law. But when it comes to Africa, there is one monolithic law coming from the West imposed to everyone who say, oh, this is modernity. I think there is need, especially in legal matter, we can have various laws overlapping depending on various communities, but that has to be studied very carefully. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. Okay, I want us to now move, just move on. We're going to, no, I mean, they can stay as long as the Lord might give them extraordinary capacity to, and will give them particular strength to be able to take on the second shift. But you are free, you know. And just to say, and I know that there will be a smaller group of people that we will continue the conversation tomorrow morning with Prof. Mutombo and Prof. Ndende, and we will also have, tomorrow we will have Dr. Marcel Lont, you know, because we want to continue this particular conversation around the interventions with men and what are the resources that we get. But that's just, so Prof. Mutombo, slaap lekker. Eh?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you so much. It's 3 a.m. here. I'm going to sleep because I have class in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Solomon, thank you. Thanks, Prof. Mutombo. Dr. Solomon?
Thank you.
Are you with us?
Yes. Thank you,
you are
Dr.
free.
Elizabeth.
Right?
Thank you so much. I will. Okay. Thank you. Good
And-
luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Bishop Roderick Mitchell,
Yes.
is there anything you want to maybe just add before you go? Or is there was anything that you know, that you really felt that you wanted to contribute just before we release you?
Oh, and I just want to say in conclusion, I'm certainly grateful for the privilege and opportunity to be a recipient of all that's been communicated, and from the African culture there in South Africa. And I appreciate once again, on behalf of Dr. Oliver and the African American Peace Project, thank you so much for allowing us to participate in what it is that we've been educated to in regards to our time spent with you this morning.
Thank you so much. appreciate. Tell your wife we appreciate that she had fasted. We are in a very holy time in the world, you know, Lent, Holy Week, you know, Ramadan, you know. So thank you so much. And we're looking forward to actually, I think today is a beginning of what I can see, that we will probably have an in-person conference, multi-country, multi-faith conference, where we will be able to spend some more time with each other on this and other subjects. So thank you very much, Bishop Mitchell. God bless
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you
Thank you.
again.
You are released when you want to go.
Yes.
Thank you. What's that?
Yes, Ashwin.
Okay. Yes, Ashwin.
Just from the online side, Reverend Zook says, indeed, I think it was on what Prof. Ndende was speaking about. He says, indeed, non-indigenous languages to the indigenous people at times distorts our essence of expression and understanding of issues.
Yeah.
And then Nomaladi says, thank you, Mama Mdende. Language is another issue. Then also Reverend Zooks is saying that, apologies colleagues, my network is disruptive and it makes it difficult for me to follow the conversation, and he is leaving.
Okay.
And then also as well from Irene Kumalo from Adapt in Johannesburg says, thank you for this informative and reflective session. I appreciate having been invited, and she needs also to leave. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's push on. So now I would like to call on Chanel. Chanel, please come sit closer to me. So we're going to have Chanel speak to her, and Caroline will do the honors.
Yes. Chanel Sickle is secretary of the local spiritual assembly of the Baha'is of Cape Town. She is an experienced business strategist and previous partner Deloitte, specializing in organizational development. She is an engaged member of the Baha'i faith. In her spare time, her focus is on how to contribute towards building vibrant communities inclusive of all races, religions, and classes, with a focus on raising capacities within these communities to take charge of both their spiritual and material transformation, as well as contribute to discourses that influence the direction of that transformation. Chanel Sickle.
Thank you so much. No, I think it's fine. I'm going to, don't you to see my notes now? I'm joking. So thank you very much. I'm going to continue where we left off in terms of the exploration of language and the conceptions such as equality and their meaning, and the need for those to be reevaluated to fit the exigencies of our time. I want us to think, when we think about men, if we think of the theme, in terms of our true identity. Our true identity, we are told, is the life of the soul and not the material existence. I also want us to then connect that to the conception of power and what we think of as power. So if we're to think of our true identity then as the life of the soul and link that to our true purpose, the Baha'i belief is that our true purpose is twofold on this earth: to transform ourselves spiritually and materially, and to contribute towards the spiritual and material transformation of our communities. This is true power, and all human beings have that power. This concept of power centers on capacity building, unity, and selfless service, rather than domination or control. It distinguishes between material power and divine power, advocating for the power to transform and serve, rather than power over others. Right? So true power is viewed as limitless collective capacity for social transformation. Now, I want us to take that meaning of power when we think of gender-based violence within the home, because often it is a form of power. It is a domination, right? If we were to think of men then as resource, this idea of what true power is, this ability to transform ourselves spiritually and materially, because they go together, we are in a material existence, is one that is important. I want us to remember that then when I start with how do we then reconceptualize power? Where does it start? And it starts within the family, right? And I'm going to use that as my point. And the reason why I'm starting with that point is because it is within the family that the individual is born, and within the family that individuals begin to learn how to live together with others. The family unit is therefore the basic building block of community and beyond of the entire social order. Therefore, a society fashioned to meet the requirements of the current age, this age of the maturity of mankind, needs a mature conception of family and an ability to extend the insights of that family to building a nation and extending that beyond to the world. Abdul-Baha, one of the central figures of the Baha'i faith, says that a family is a nation in miniature. And the conditions surrounding the family surround the nation. In light of this, it is therefore no surprise that the level of gender-based violence in the home is a reflection of the high levels of violence which communities across South Africa often face. Historically, the family has taken many forms, if you were to look through the ages and the stages of human social development. As society advances then, arrangements and definitions that may have been beneficial at some stage need to change. And some examples of this are expectations of parents suited to one period of history could hinder the development of their children's abilities in another. Right? And we think of some of those practices of how we viewed children. Children should be seen and not heard. You know, these types of approaches. Likewise, certain strong allegiances within kinship groups, be that tribal. Often when we speak of the African context, we speak of a lot of the practices coming from those tribal practices. Allow them to flourish at one stage could later on become obstacles to unity within wider social circles. And then certain gender roles, and this is where we are today, if we were to look at the theme, certain gender roles that characterize an early stage of human development can eventually impede the advancement of women, which we see now, and of society. Thoughts and theories of past ages must be re-evaluated, Abdul-Baha explains. Humanity must now become imbued with new virtues and powers, new moral standards, and new capacities. Now, what those are, I think, is what our exploration is at the start of today. But it is something that, as a collective, we will only learn about as we try and imbue some of those virtues that we speak about. Abdul-Baha continues, for the gifts and blessings of the period of youth, although timely and sufficient during the adolescence of mankind, are now incapable of meeting the requirements of its maturity. So a challenge for Baha'i communities worldwide then is to examine the present practices in their societies, weigh them in light of the teachings, weed out any undesirable tendencies, and learn to establish a new pattern of family life. What is family life? What does it mean? What does it mean when a new mother takes maternity leave? Is family life that it is shared equally with the physical presence of both the mother and the father? Or is there a new conception of what family life looks like? And I think the sound relationships that are to bind members of family should then be based on justice and reciprocity. Justice and reciprocity. And this then comes in line with what we ended off on, the equality of men and women and what equality truly means. According to the teachings of Baha'u'llah, the family, being a human unit, must be educated according to the rules of sanctity. The integrity of the family bond must be constantly considered, and the rights of the individual members must not be transgressed. These sound relationships amongst family members require conscious cultivation. Conscious cultivation. And so the question is, how do we cultivate that? How does that conscious cultivation unfold within these families? And how is society then at large contributing to that cultivation? What does that look like? I think it's a question for us to explore. In the ideal then, the married couple, if we were to speak of this intimate relationship, are true partners. One is not subordinated to the other. Together they navigate life's challenges, whether spiritual, material, or social, through prayer, study, consultation, and action in reflection. So the equality of women and men then is not a condition whose effects will be limited to half of the world's population. So now we are equal. Okay, women are equal. That's wonderful for us. Its operationalization will revolutionize all the facets of human society. So this is broader just than us having equal rights, same rights, opportunities, and privileges. Dr. Solomon spoke about the wings of a bird, humanity being the wings of a bird. The very trajectory of the flight of that bird will be impacted when both wings fly equally. And that trajectory is revolutionary, if we can think about it. We believe that the equality of men and women is a facet of human reality and not just a condition to be achieved for common good. It is an essential facet. That which makes human beings human, their inherent dignity and nobility, is neither male nor female. The search for meaning, for purpose, for community, the capacity to love, to create, to persevere has no gender. This has profound implications for the organization of every aspect of human society. All right. I'm not sure, how am I doing for time? Because I don't.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. There's a lot I have to say on equality, but I will, and the concept of justice, because I think that is one. But I will leave you with these quotes on human rights and justice. And let it be known once more that until women and men recognize and realize equality, social and political progress here or anywhere will not be possible. And then it may assist to ask a few questions. How does discrimination against women limit the ability of men and boys to develop their full potential? How does it impact the progress and well-being of society as a whole? How will progress towards equality transform various facets of human society? The development of intellectual life, the practice of governance, the allocation of material resources, the condition of the family. Human rights achieve their highest expression when understood in the context of human relationships, within the family, within the community, the nations, and among the community of nations. Viewed through this lens, human rights are a vehicle for all to realize their inherent potential and to ensure the same for others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janelle. I think it's important. I know that you can hear the resources even when we listen to people from other traditions, other faiths, other cultures. And you can also now see why with the oppressor it becomes so important to demonize what is different. You know, and to make us think that if we're going to listen to people from different faith than yours, or different culture from yours, that you will be contaminated and you become fearful. But isn't it extraordinary when we actually understand the diversity of God and the wisdoms of God that will only come through a very particular tradition, whether I'm comfortable with it or not. You know, if I cannot, for whatever reason, listen to somebody from the Caribbean, speaking about how they're doing life there, or my Khoisan ancestors and whatever the story is, I shall remain poor. I shall remain underdeveloped. Because there's a reason why God has actually put us together in the earth, put us together into each other's lives. And so that was really amazing. Thank you so much for reminding us that the purpose is really our soul's purpose, ultimately. And that's what we're trying to redeem. And that is what needs to flourish. So I've asked the speakers when we were communicating to just have some grace for me and Caroline, who are the moderators, because we're trying to make sure that we try and hold time, but also we might need to shift one or two things. So at this juncture, I want to ask for grace, Mahbuba, if you give me grace. Because we want to have Maribel from Ghana. We would like for her to go next. And then I really want the technical team to give me an indication once you've got Pastor Stephen sorted, because I know that he is also trying on his end, right? So at this point, I'm going to ask Caroline, are you going to read the CV? Die Here moet my help, hoor, julle moet bid vir my. Ek net baie krag.
Thank you. No, I've got you. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Madame Maribel Aku Okene is the Western Regional Director for the Department of Gender in Ghana, operating under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. She works closely with the Western Regional Coordinating Council in Sukonde, Takoradi, to implement national gender policies at the local level.
Good morning from.
We just want to introduce to you. Our work focuses on advocating for gender equality, protecting the rights of women and children, and addressing sexual and gender-based violence within the region. She oversees the regional implementation of the Domestic Violence Act of 2007 and works closely with international partners like the UN Population Fund and the Canadian government to brainstorm practical solutions for community-based gender issues. She participated as a panelist with SAFI's first field visit and conference program in Takoradi, Ghana in 2023. Madame Maribel, you're welcome to speak now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm so fortunate to be part of this international discussion because male engagement is one of the cardinal things we do here in the Western region. And the department is so appreciative of the fact that we've been asked to participate in this webinar. And so I would like to say that so we all know that as we've had the discussion since morning, we know that men are critical allies when it comes to fighting intimate partner violence or gender-based violence. And then we know that they have resources that will help us address these issues. And so I'm fortunate and I'm appreciative of the fact that others have spoken about what they think is wrong and what we can do right to rewrite the wrong that is fueling intimate partner violence. And as fathers and partners, we know that men have resources that can help us challenge harmful gender norms. So what resources do men bring on board? We know that men have, because of our society, we live in a patriarchal world. I don't know your place, but for Ghana, we know that is where we live, where we are. So men usually often hold positions of power and influence in our communities. It starts from our homes and our religious setup, and then our communities and the societies we live in. You know that when we go to places of leadership positions, we have men leading in virtually everything, promoting men. Hold on, please. Sorry. And so we know that men are supposed to promote healthy masculinities, like others have said, and respect. But then we know that is not the situation currently. So I believe continuous engagement with our men, because previously we were just meeting with our women, but the issues have not changed. And we also have gotten to know that the issues about our laws being foreign and not it's not part of our culture and things has also influenced that. We also know that men also have influence of empathy and emotional expression. From gender, we'll be told that men are told not to express their emotions. But then we believe that if we train our men, our boys to be to portray positive masculinity, then we know that they will come in to help us model healthy emotions and then empathy. And we also know that privileges are with our men. So what can we do as a system to help our men leverage on the privileges they have to also challenge systems and norms that perpetuate violence? So these are some resources I believe our men bring on board when it comes to addressing intimate partner violence. So what are we looking at? Positive masculinities. We need to our work must work towards redefining traditional masculinity norms. What are the norms that are negative? In Ghana, you'll be told that for a man, for you to be seen as a man, then it means that you must have multiple sexual partners. As a man, you must use your fists instead of using your mouth to have discussion when there are issues. We must also look at the values of respect, empathy, vulnerability, and then equality. So and then encouragement to express their emotions, very important, because you see our men are dying because there are issues about the fact that they are unable to express myself. One of the panelists mentioned the fact that for women, we'll be able to speak about our issues. But then I believe I will put the blame fully on our footsteps, because we women need nurture and socialize our children. So what can we do as a system, as mothers, as sisters, to socialize our boys to be able to express their emotions and they show vulnerability where need be? So I don't tell the mind that as a man in my culture in Ghana, we are told that a man should not show his vulnerability. But I think all that injustices or fuels personal intimate partner violence that we need to. We also have to look at promoting healthy relationships. We are told that some gender roles are skewed only for women, whereas some are for men. And then in doing all those things, we know that it also fuels intimate partner violence. So we should look at all these pointers I've mentioned, redefining traditional gender masculinity norms, the value, respect, empathy, vulnerability, and equality, encouragement to express their emotions, and then show vulnerability, and promote healthy relationship and caregiving rules. Because if they are able to do that, I believe that the negative masculinity thoughts we have on men will also be reduced, and they'll be able to help curb issues of intimate gender-based, intimate partner violence. And so, what have we been using here? So we are looking at gender transformative approach. I know we have scholars on the bill, and so we are just looking at what we can do to challenge the patriarchal norms and stereotypes that we have in our systems that promotes intimate partner violence, then promote equality, equitable relationship in decision-making positions. One of the panelists mentioned the fact about leadership positions. Decisions are usually left with our men. And so usually we also have seen, and from experience of the work I do, we've seen that it also fuels gender-based violence. But if you have the equal playing ground and we are making decisions in the home, if I'm expected to do A, B, and C, and I'm not able to do, my partner will understand me because we made the decisions together. And so that leverage is created. And so I believe it will go a long way, helping us to leverage or looking at approaches that will help us address this cancer we're talking about. So it's also looking at aims to transform societal structures and relationships to prevent intimate partner violence. So I believe we look at these pointers to go a long way to help us address the canker once again. And so what are we doing in the West? What are we doing in Ghana, especially in the Western region? We have the, let me use Ghana as a whole. We have some institutions in Ghana using, when it comes to male engagement, using the gender family model, where they have a family they train with the aim of addressing intimate partner violence. And so they train families to be able to live life that will empower both the male and the female in the family and their children. And we also have some NGOs also in the Western region looking at gender responsive conversations. Just looking at the maritime area where there's a maritime, there are issues with maritime. So they are looking at the intimate gender-based violence that can come out of the project they are running. So we are having a gender responsive conversation, basically addressing issues of intimate partner violence and gender-based violence per se. And then we also have the UNFPA project training our young men, because we believe in catching them young for them to help advocate or to be able to be advocates for gender equality and also address issues about gender-based violence or intimate partner violence. So this is so they provide support for victims. They are able to help us in all is applying the reflecting on a Ubuntu principle of reconnectivity, respect, empathy, and then addressing gender-based violence and then gender inequality issues. So to conclude, I will say that my presentation tried to explore the roles of men as allies in combating intimate partner violence and gender-based, aligned with, well, I know this year's International Women's Day is talking about action, right action, and then rights, justice, and action for women, all women and girls. I believe we are able to address these issues, looking about male engagement and then what men can also do as allies to address intimate partner violence and gender-based violence in general. We'll be able to have a society where it will be free of the issues that prevent us from enjoying our lives as humans and as women and men. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maribel. That was really very insightful. Appreciate your input. We're now going to just ask I'm going to ask
Yes.
Caroline to just introduce the next speaker before we allow for questions and
Yes.
comments. I'll also check with Pastor Stephen whether he is available. Thanks, Caroline.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. So, Sister Mahbuba Davids is a prominent humanology instructor. She's a women's rights activist and educator based in Cape Town, South Africa. She is well known for her work within the Islamic community, where she focuses on the intersection of spiritual growth and social issues. Sister Mahbuba has served as the chairperson of the Islamic Unity Convention Women's Forum. She's a frequent guest on Radio 786, where she discusses topics such as the condition of society is determined by the consciousness of its women, and speaks out against misogyny and gender-based violence. Sister Mahbuba also serves as a member of SAFI's Theological Advisory Council on GBV. Thank you, Sister Mahbuba.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really so chuffed today. I'm really overwhelmed with what I've learned this morning. And I haven't been here for a while, but I've gone quiet. I've gone quiet for a while, but not really stopped to educate. I continue to educate, especially women and mothers. I've gone quiet because, and today, Professor, sorry if I can't hear you, Ndondandi, gave me the courage to speak about the things that was clearly close to my heart, because at the time when we spoke out against the legalization of abortion in South Africa in 1997, that time we were actually got a lot of flack from the community, Muslim community as well. Even though there was a road show for the people of faith to really to oppose or to support it, actually the legalization went ahead. And when we did speak out against it, it was said that do not force your religion upon us. And that for me, it really hurt, because we are mothers, we are nurturers, we are key, and now the right to abort your child, that will actually turn the nurturer into a murderer, right? And also, where is the father? Does he have a voice when she can decide to take the life of her own child, right? But you also need to learn within the legislation of the African Bill of Rights, there are no fetal rights within the Bill of Rights. There are child rights within the Bill of Rights, but not fetal rights. So we actually identified that. And, and just to share also with you our experience where we actually spoke out against the legalization of prostitution. We wrote to the Law Reform Commission at the time as well. And also what the Muslim community was actually split when it came to the legalization of, or the Muslim Marriages Bill. And what some of the Muslim communities did not realize, what they wanted to do with this particular bill was to put the sacred law next to the man-made law. And in Islam, marriage has already been regulated in the Quran. What we just needed was recognition. We did not need the sacred mixed with the man-made law, because God's law is most compassionate, right? So that was the arguments and the challenges that we faced on our particular journey. And but what actually came through for me today was really we need to reclaim our original state as God has created us. And that is actually within my script. And I want to also say, when we talk about languages as well, also when you look at the Arabic language, because God, Allah says it's an Arabic Quran, it's an Arabiya Quran. So when you translate Arabic into English, it doesn't always justify what God, Allah is really saying to us. So this particular verse I want to mention to you today, my dear friends and colleagues and everybody present here today, when God says, Allah says, "O people," it's translated into "O people." But when you look, when the prophets actually spoke and he said, "Oh my people," he spoke to a particular group of people. He spoke to the people, and it's called in Arabic the ulul albab. And that is where he addressed the thinking, feeling, sensitive people. Because we know when we're up against narcissism, these people don't listen. They don't listen, they don't hear. Their hearts are locked, right? So in this particular verse, which actually encapsulates what we are presenting here today, is that where Allah says, "O people, O thinking, feeling, sensitive people, we have created you out of a male and female and rendered you into ethnic derivatives of each other and corresponding communities to each other for the purpose that you might come to mutual understanding of each other. Verily the noblest of you in the sight of Allah is the one who is most conscious of Allah's power presence on earth. And indeed Allah is all-knowing, ever proficient." So this is from the chapter, the private chambers, verse 13. So for me, that is what this whole gathering actually encapsulates. And for me, it's like so amazing how we just share one common, I would say, common ideology. You know, it's not about my color. It's not about my ethnicity. It is about humankind. And the Quran was sent to humankind, right? So what I want to share, and also why I mentioned what our challenges are, why it actually, what motivated us to actually to embark on this particular program, the Pathway to Women and Manhood. We actually started off, Sister Soraya is actually a graduate of that particular program, thanks to her. And also, also taking us back to our original state. Because when we talk about men as a resource, it must be the man who actually who's living in God. That is the resource. That is there's a particular criterion when it comes to, he must be trained according to, he must be trained to actually live within the, my article here is that he must be trained to be able to identify the fitrah, or the original state in which God has created creation, right? So, and we all have that within inside of us. We all have the knowing of right and wrong inside of us, isn't it? We know when we are being cheated upon, or when we cheat onto others. That is even within a child. So, therefore, the parents have the obligation to actually to preserve that particular natural state, or original state within the child, right? Where Allah says in the Quran, do not disturb this original state in which I have created. So when you look at secular law, we see the disturbance. We see the legalization of abortion, we see the legalization of prostitution, we see the legalization of drugs and alcohol. All of these things actually weakens the family. It weakens the family unit. But absolutely correct, because that's why I say I went quiet for a while, because nobody was seemed to be listening to what I really wanted to say all the time. And here Professor just gave me the courage really to say, but I do support what you say. This is the crux of the matter. It is the secular system. It is a man-made system that actually is not really producing the human being as God has intended. Daarom word ons mos nou 'n ding and 'n iets, because even, and I must say, really within the imams, amongst the imams, when we actually approach them also to host these kind of programs in the masjid about abortion, they will say, don't come here. This is not what this platform is all about. Because also they have gone cold when they said, laat het afkom. Laat het afkom, laat die baba afkom. It's an it. It's an it. So that is to where we have been reduced to. And that actually motivates us to continue what we're doing. And I really thank Safi for inviting me, because I haven't been here for a while. But yet for me to be able to get this off my chest, you know, and to free my heart, and to feel that my heart is free to be able to say what I need to say. Yeah, that for me it is, and also training the young man, you know, and if and that training begins within the womb already, right? So he learns about the feminine frequency, the feminine energy within the mother. He hears his mother's voice. He learns that, which is a beautiful thing and a necessary tuning for that particular young man. But as he grows up and he goes into the age of puberty, he needs to be retuned to the masculine energy, right? And the Quran speaks about that particular age where we name it bulugh. We're talking about the child who has become sexually active. So that particular energy needs to be channeled, right? Because at that particular age, if you look at his development, at that particular age, we know that his development is testosterone driven. So at that particular age, if you look at his nature, that particular energy or hormone, the testosterone, actually increases 800%. You see, so that impacts on his nervous system. Yeah, so that's why he needs the channeling and the guidance of the parent. And these we can either win him over or bring him back to, or train him to the original state, or you can actually lose him. You see, because it affects his nervous system so much that he's not able to think clearly. Because his body, we see this boy growing, getting more muscular and more hairy and all of that, but we don't really see the inside of this young man. You see? So that is why we actually went and we looked into all the indigenous cultures, and the same message. The same message that these young men need to be trained to be the providers and the protectors, and you know, and of the families and communities, right? So in Islam, we have that particular training. I just want to mention it because of time. It says here, it says here, Islamic framework of manhood. So in Islam, manhood is rooted in the fitrah, in the original natural state or natural disposition towards truth, goodness, and recognition of God, right? And Allah says, here's the verse, so set your face towards the religion inclining to truth, the fitrah of Allah upon which He has created mankind. There is no altering the creation of Allah. That is the correct religion, but most people do not know. So every child is born in this pure state. It is the responsibility of parents and teachers and society to preserve it. At the age of bulugh, the puberty, a young man enters a new phase of accountability. This is when he becomes accountable, right? So he needs to become, it's obligation on him to perform prayer and also to start fasting and also he joins communal worship, right? Including the Jumu'ah, we know the Friday sermons, and he begins to embody responsibility, right? So the Prophet also said, he emphasized that teach him good character, give him a good name, teach him good character, knowledge and literacy, also teach him to read and write, the seeking of knowledge, physical strength and discipline such as swimming and archery and horse riding. Now, these are not merely skills. They are tools to channel youthful energy and purpose. So that's what we learn. So we learn that also how the masculinity can be guided also via the community, right? So in Islamic tradition, men are guided by older men, Here we learn about mentorship and his connection with older men. Right, the importance of that within the community. Also what we learn, also the practices of the Ratib. Maybe you've heard about it? Yeah? So that actually, that particular, I would say, program that we have is that, with the spirit, or remembering God, he actually, that particular energy was also channeled to gain spiritual energy and strengthen faith as well, by being led by the elders, right? So the communal worship fosters brotherhood and discipline, and also they also need to complete the Quran, the recital of the Quran, and also we celebrate these kind of milestones, right? So even in marriage, this was so beautiful. What we learn also, it carries this actually carries a symbolic meaning. As when he decides to get married, he is actually being garlanded by his mother or father or guardian with a beautiful scarf, right, which is normally an heirloom. And this actually symbolizes actually the transfer of legacy, right? So the faith and culture and responsibility from one generation to the next generation. But why is it that? Because within the Muslim community, we have also lost the meaning of all of these cultural practices. And that's why we also do not find the results that we need to find. We see it merely as a ritual and not because we know a ritual doesn't take us anywhere. If it's void of intention, if it's void from sincerity, if it is void of purpose, then it becomes an empty ritual. So we need to put really purpose and intention and sincerity ahead of being the ritual, so that it can actually have meaning and bring about transformation, right? So my closing comments is just to say that my final reflections: across all cultures and traditions, one truth remains. Manhood must be cultivated, guided, and honored. It is a time of refinement, responsibility, and moral awakening, because ultimately, a nation is nothing more than its morals. And where there is no morality, there is no nation. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Mahbouba. I think it's important for us to have these spaces, safe spaces, where we can name and where we can bring whatever is in our hearts, especially all of us who are doing this critical work. We each are sitting with our own personal theology about whatever it is that we are working with. And I know that we are living in a time where it becomes difficult sometimes for people to name certain things. That again, we use the term controversy. Also, we marginalize, we silence expressions that feels that it may not be what everybody is saying right now. And so I think the offering is not so much what is being said in those instances. I want to offer that it is not so much what is being said, but it is the courage. It is the courage to be in your truth. It is the courage then also to remain critical, around what my truth is. You get what I'm saying? And so you would notice that in Safi's work, we are intentional about shifting the language even. We talk about conversation, sacred conversation, instead of, we might use the term dialogue here and there, but we're leaning more towards conversation than dialogue, because we're not here to compete for whose idea is more preferred than the other, because we do not know what the Spirit is working in each one of us. Because sometimes as you actually listen to a voice that you haven't heard before, if there's a certain truth being shared that you haven't heard before, it ignites something in you that has been laying dormant about your own truth for your own people. You get what I'm saying? And so thank you, Sister Mahbouba, for sharing and bringing really important insights there about young men. As goed is wat ons moet leer, we must really, let's not so quickly irritated about the triggers. then we cannot hear each other anymore. Let's listen through, so that we can find the thing that is there to redeem the soul, actually. We're gonna move. We just have two more speakers, actually, because I don't see the other speaker. We got two more speakers as we are hastening to a close. I understand that my colleague from the NPA has to go. I'm so honored, actually, that you were able to spend the entire morning with us. I know you're doing critical work, and really, us as people of faith, we got to pray. There are good, solid leaders in our institutions like the NPA, and they are navigating critical times. And so I really want to say, Laura Bartman, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your presence here today. And just also, as you know, that Safi is in conversation with Laura and the NPA around how do we potentially look at incorporating the MAD initiative as part of the intervention for men who abuse their intimate partner. So I appreciate that you took all the time to be with us this morning. Yes. Please take the mic. No, it's just because it's recorded. Yes, it's recorded. Yes.
Okay, I just want to say thank you very much. I enjoyed this session this morning. Government workers have to go back online work, meetings, it never stops. Just continue with what you are doing. I think it's like you said, it's a conversation. And it's a conversation that we all need to hear. Sometimes we are so, I want to use the right words here, so progressive that we forget the basics. We've learned through Safi to go back to basics. So I just want to appreciate Elizabeth, especially Caroline. We've worked very well together before as well. But everyone here, Prof, I love I also don't like the controversial part. I like the honesty part. So stay as honest as you are, but enjoy the rest of your session and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I think Prof Mdende.
It's just a homework. Because you have just listened to us.
Yes.
So please, I'm African traditional religion, I'm not a Christian. So, yes. So, can you please go and check with your colleagues on this recognition of Customary Marriage Act? There's one thing that doesn't make me happy there, because it's prejudiced somehow. If Unokuzola is being married by a reverend, and the reverend produces a certificate from the church, Home Affairs takes that without any problem and gives me the marriage certificate. But when it's Nokuzola who has not been married by a reverend, but he is married traditionally, now the Home Affairs will say, can you bring the intermediaries and so on and so on. My problem is, why can't you guys look for the clergy who have married me and not like Onozakuzaku? Because even the Christians who were married by a reverend later on, they passed through that intermediaries, all of them. The Lobola, I'm Lobola, she's Lobola. Why me, I should bring Onozakuzaku and she doesn't bring Onozakuzaku? So there is injustice there. Thank you.
Yes. And we will continue to have that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're now going to have Pastor Stephen. Thank you so much. You've been patient and you've been
very patient.
So
Yes,
I'm
he's
going to
waiting.
ask Caroline to just introduce.
Pastor Stephen, I introduced you earlier.
Oh, you did?
I'm not sure if you heard. I did introduce you earlier. Thank you, Pastor Stephen. You can continue. Remember, I read all of them. Yes, thank you, Pastor Stephen. We can't hear him. Unmute. Unmute, Pastor. We still can't hear Pastor Stephen.
Your friend is
Hello.
here, Pastor Pickering
Is it
from
okay?
Atlantis. I
Can you hear
brought
me?
Pastor Pickering from Atlantis here. He's here.
That's my friend.
Okay. You're on. You've got 10 minutes, Pastor Stephen.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I am very grateful for this sacred conversation. And I know there are two other persons that from Liberia that should be participating in this sacred conversation. One is Honorable William Jala, the Assistant Minister for Custom and Culture from the Ministry of Local Government. The other person is Cyril Gallo, the consultant that has been working with Jimmy Carter Center in Liberia. We want to say thank you to Safi that we have the opportunity to share through what we have been doing in Liberia as religious leader to uproot intimate partner abuse. The role of men in uprooting intimate partner abuse. Men are very essential resource in uprooting intimate partner abuse because they can challenge the root causes of violence in the male-dominated society circle and dismantle the system that enables it. By removing from bystander to active ally, they have to shift cultural norms and have historically normalized partner abuse. They are very critical in preventing intimate partners abuse because they are often the ones who can most effectively challenge other men's abusive behavior. I will give some example of how men are important resource in uprooting intimate partner abuse. The first step in addressing any issue is recognizing its existence. Many men do not experience gender-based violence firsthand, which makes it easier than to overlook its impact. However, statistics, countless survivor testimony highlight the pervasiveness of this intimate partner abuse. Men must listen to the experiences of survivors, empathy without defensively. Acknowledging the problem, first step toward dismantling culture and normalize violence in justice. Religious leaders must learn to listen and address the issue of intimate partner abuse in a way that brings healing, harmony, peace in the home. Second aspect is speaking out against intimate partner abuse. Silence perpetrates intimate partner abuse. When men witness harassment or abusive behavior, it is their responsibility to speak out, calling out problematic behavior, whether it's in the social setting, places of worship, workplace, or among friends and family. This can prevent violence being normalized. Men's voices hold significant weight, making it vital that they advocate for respect and equality. In Liberia, as you may know, we went through 14 years of civil war. And at the end of that war, there's a breakdown in every institution. The government was struggling to see how they can bring the country together. and there were chaos all over the country. Intimate violence was common. Gender-based violence was just a common thing, a normal thing. Rape was all over the place. And as religious leader, we decided this is not normal. We have to speak out. So we started by prayer. And after a while, we found out that prayer is fit. Scripture says, "Fit without work is dead." Therefore, instead of praying, we decided to take action. This is when we got into institutions train us on how to tackle intimate partner relationships and gender-based violence, how to end gender-based violence. We are grateful to institutions like SAFI that have trained some of us over the years to work with men and boys and religious leaders in violence and intimate partners. It is very important that religious leaders learn to understand the root causes of intimate partner abuse, and it is a crucial and meaningful step to change, bringing change in intimate partner abuse. And should take the initiative to learn about gender dynamics, power imbalance, and the systemic nature of intimate partner abuse. Reading books, attending workshops, engaging in discussion about gender equality, and equip men with the knowledge needed to challenge harmful norms. Beyond personal learning, they should share insights here that help spread awareness and cultivate a culture of respect. Train young people, young men and boys, the role to be role models and agents of change for healthy relationships. Men, we are in majority church leaders and also in influential positions, especially religious leaders, to learn to interpret the scripture properly. This interpretation of scripture, one of the root causes of intimate partner abuse. For example, when the scripture talk about men is the head, a particular scripture being misused, and it has caused women harm in many societies, especially in Liberia. Last year, we have a sacred conversation organized by SAFI in our organization with religious leaders and traditional leaders. What we found out is that many religious leaders misinterpret the Bible or the scripture. And it's important scripture is interpreted properly. And the religious leaders use their places of worship as a sanctuary, harmony, and respect and unity. We also found out from the traditional leaders that the concept of gender-based violence or intimate partner abuse is strange to them. And there is a need for awareness because, especially in Liberia, we have two laws. We have the civil law and we have the traditional law. Sometimes these laws clash together. Just as Professor Mbenzi mentioned earlier, what is the age of marriage? In Liberia, of course, you can get marriage certificate from the civil law, and you can also get marriage certificate from traditional law. customary. But the problem is, what is the age of consent? Civil law, it is 18. But in the customary marriage, it is as low as 18. And again, another problem that we struggle with in Liberia as men is the language. When you talk about gender equality, to the traditional, it is strange to them. So there is need for more training, more awareness, more dialogue with traditional leaders and even church leaders who are custodians of our tradition. The language is very important. We have traditional schools in Liberia that train men, that train boys to become men, train women to grow up into womanhood. But these institutions usually refer to them as bush schools, and this is very offensive to our traditional people. So language is very important when it comes to dealing with intimate partner abuse, gender-based violence. So another issue that we struggle with here, and sometimes it requires action, is those who, the lawmakers, and the judges. Again, most of our laws on the book are very old to reflect the current reality. And men played an important role shaping these dynamics. For example, last year, our president introduced a bill in the House of Representatives for the 2025 Act to protect girls and women. Now, there are some lawmakers that believe that this act is foreign to our tradition. So, this is where the concept of bounty come in. So, bounty principle is based on dialogue, community participation, so as stakeholders in intimate partners in ending violence against women and girls. Our approach is to identify the lawmaker, engage them in dialogue, and point out that the law is not, or this bill is not against tradition, but it is to bring peace. It is in the interest of our daughters and our mothers. Because in many situations, because in the civil law, you can have one wife. But in the traditional law, you have up to 5, 6. And there are problems associated with that. So the law is not merely about a marriage, but basically about other issues like FGM and the distribution of property that a man has. For example, it's just about 4 years ago that we supported the women and came out with the domestic violence law. For that time, women were considered property. And therefore, were not entitled to any property that a man has. Those things have been changed because we advocated for law, sex, girls, and religious leaders and people in influential positions have a greater role to play because, especially for the religious leaders, they have a large following. Religious leaders are people that, when there's a conflict in the home, they are the first person to contact. Therefore, it is necessary for them to know about how to handle intimate partner abuse when conflict comes in the home. How do they handle it? In many situations, especially traditional setting, the woman is normally to be blamed because men will support or they support one another. But with more awareness on the consequences of intimate partner abuse, it brings about peace. Therefore, we encourage men to be what we call active bystanders. By being active bystanders, it brings about intervention when men witness problematic behavior. And if a friend makes an inappropriate remark, or if someone is being harassed, or if a situation appears unsafe, stepping in can make a difference. This does not mean engaging in physical confrontation, but rather using strategies such as distraction, dire or directed intervention, or seeking help in harmful situations. Integrating the boundary principle shifts the approach. Individual lies often pastoral or legal processes, community-led restoration efforts. Concept, philosophy, I am. This core principle emphasizes that personality is tied to the human or the humanity of others, making it morally impossible to treat a partner violently. Bantu for community participation, for other men, they must take ownership. Other men must take ownership of ending intimate partner abuse rather than protecting perpetrator or blaming violence. In Liberia, under the philosophy of Bantu, most especially rural or traditional settings, there are structures called peace hut or palava hut. Now, places where intimate partner conflicts are resolved with the input from elders, male and female, solve conflict, harmonious manner. In conclusion, I would say Bantu provide a framework for relational healing, community solidarity, putting the idea that individual grow through supportive interaction rather than power in balance. Men are powerful resource in uprooting partner abuse. By recognizing the problem and taking specific action to end the abuse. When combined with the principle of the boundary, men can move from being potential source of harm to becoming essential champions of a safe, more empathic society. By cultivating boundaries, they can transform their approach to relationships, communities safely, moving away from toxic masculinity characterized by dominance, control, and emotional suppression, where relationships build on mutual respect, peace, and harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Stephen. Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, we have gone way over time. It's 1:15 now. We were meant to end at 1. So I'm going to ask Sisik Olelifok to please give us grace. We're going to give you, cut down on your time. 7 minutes. Okay.
Thank you.
Before my colleague goes and my sister, Sisik Olile Obo is a South African gender equality activist. You know, I'm looking at this bio here, and you only gave us probably 2 sentences of who you are. I know there's so much more we can say about you. But yeah, this is just a summary of who she is. Our dear sister, she's a developmental expert and a researcher specializing in GBVF, which is gender-based violence and femicide prevention, sustainable development, and social justice. She serves a board member for the Center for Gender and African Studies and previously as the regional advisor on gender, HIV, and AIDS. She's the director of localization at the World of Impact, an advisory board member for Her Rights Initiative, and a founder of the Well Health Company, our sister Sikolile Kobo.
I will just start with greetings to you all. Apparently, I was asked to run away from you. Yes, I will be very mindful of the time. And also, I'm very grateful to have been invited to come share my personal experience from a lived experience. And I really appreciate your sisterhood. Yes. So I have noted the theme, but for me, I have created a subtext of the theme. And my subtext is located in the phrase that is well known within Africa that says, it takes a village to raise a child. I say this because I come from a family of matriarchs. The grandfathers that I grew up with were not really my biological grandfathers, yet they provided the love, care grandfathers were expected to provide. So when looking at the role of a family, it is actually geared as a very important role. It is a role where the rearing of children is very centered and important. And this role is to provide love, guidance, care, and support for its members. There is nothing that says this must be provided by biological family. And these are the things that just come up. My subject matter for today, though, revolves around the concept of umalume, which is a maternal uncle. So which means it's your uncle, is a brother of your mother, yes. And in isiZulu, in the traditional culture of isiZulu, because I'm also raised as a Zulu woman, you'll be surprised. So umalume in my culture holds a deeply respected and emotionally significant role, one that goes far beyond extended family ties. He is not simply a relative. He is a bridge between household, a moral compass, and often a quiet yet powerful protector of dignity, especially for women and children. So to contextualize this and why it's important, I just want to bring you a bit into my family. So my mother was an only child, but was raised in a communal arrangement with all other children her age, whom in English we refer to as cousins. Yet in the Zulu language, umzala, it's translating cousin, umzala describes the biological connection between children sharing a common family lineage. So in that communal arrangement, my mother was referred to usis dadewethu for male mfowethu, so she was never seen as a cousin. My inputs then is based on my own experience with a village uncle. So the person that I'm going to reference today is not a biological lineage linked to me. he is a village uncle. I give him this title of being a village uncle because Umalume Thule and my sister to our first ever experience of taking cows to Edipin. For those that have lucid, they understand the trauma that comes with taking cows to the deep. Because you get to engage with cows that have horns that you have never seen. But you must make sure that when you remember the colors of the cows from your household and you stay on track. So that was the first experience that he took us on, me and my sister. He will further teach us how to slaughter an animal. What is the story? And then we were told what was the story. And unfortunately, he passed on at his very young age. He was only able to guide us through our childhood and youth experiences, meaning when we became adults and left university, he was actually gone by that time. But I say this because I'm going to jump a bit of my things because I want to be graceful as well. So I say this because in the world where Umalume is categorized as someone who children must run away from, Umalume is categorized as the animal of the family. Umalume is categorized as all these things. I struggle. I struggle, for goodness sake, with that Malume because I don't have that Malume's experience. And I even find it hard. I'm raising a boy and a girl as we speak. I'm finding it hard to affirm what they are hearing from what I have heard and from the experiences of Omalume that I'm now introducing my children to. So I really find that's why I'm here as someone who's like, we need to change the narrative around Umalume. It is actually fracturing our family systems. It is also fracturing how we have given responsibility to particular members of the family. Now they can't even play that responsibility. So in a futuristic manner, if I take the theme for today, so Umalume will be, I have 5 things that Umalume could have been. The Umalume as a safe guardian of women's dignity. Traditionally, a young woman in a Zulu culture has a special relationship with her maternal uncle. The Umalume is someone she can turn to in times of distress, especially when facing challenges in her paternal home or even in her intimate relationship. This reflects a culturally embedded safeguard against harm. In modern terms, this aligns with addressing intimate partner abuse or intimate partner violence. The uncle will then provide emotional refuge and advocacy. He can intervene in family disputes with authority and compassion. He ensures that a woman's voice is heard when she may feel silenced elsewhere. In this way, Umalume represents cultural-rooted mechanism for accountability and protection. Secondly, a model for gentle, responsible masculinity. Unlike dominant and authoritarian male roles often reinforced in patriarchal system, the Umalume embodies a softer, relational masculinity. His authority is not rooted in control, but in care, wisdom, and relational power. He aligns strongly with the philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because we are. The Umalume teaches respect without fear, guides without domination, presence without violence. In a conversation about intimate partner violence, this reframes men not as perpetrators, but as active agents of healing and transformation. Number 3, a mediator and restorer of harmony. In a family conflict, especially marital dispute, Umalume may act as a mediator. His role is to de-escalate tension, restore dignity on all sides, ensure fairness and justice with cultural frameworks. This is critical in preventing cycle of abuse. Instead of silencing or normalizing of harm, Umalume introduces interventions grounded in relationships and responsibility. Number 4, cultural educator and values keeper. The Umalume plays a role in teaching younger generations about respect in relationships, the value of women in the family and society, social responsibility and accountability. Within a multi-faith, multi-country dialogue, I think this resonates across traditions. Many cultures hold figures similar to Umalume, men who are entrusted with guiding without controlling. Number 5, men as a resource in uprooting intimate partner violence. Reframing men as a resource requires shifting from blame-only narrative to responsibility-driven participation. The Umalume offers a cultural template for this shift. Umalume, he listens, he intervenes, he protects, and he restores. This is the kind of masculinity needed to uproot intimate partner violence. He is not passive, he is not complacent, but engages in an ethical manner. The last one, which is number 6, he cultivating Ubuntu in intimate spaces. Ubuntu is often spoken about as a societal level, but the Umalume helps bring it into homes, into relationships, and into everyday interaction. He reminds us that care is a common responsibility. Harm to one affects all. Healing must be collective. So in closing, I just want to say, in honoring the role of Umalume during the International Women's Month, we are not only celebrating tradition, but we are reclaiming cultural wisdom as a tool for modern transformation. The Umalume teaches us all that men are not only capable of care, but they are custodians of it. And in that truth lies a powerful pathway towards ending intimate partner violence or abuse, restoring dignity in relationships, and building communities that are rooted in Ubuntu. So I will end here. I did jump a whole section, but I thought, let me just go straight to the issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Allah. Thank you, Sister Xolele. I'm sorry we had to rush you through that because of the time. Yeah, but it was really, really powerful, and really it made me think of something that I normally say when I do training around gender-based violence, and we speak about patriarchy, and I will never refer to it again because you just gave me another perspective. That I had very good uncles, and I carry my father's surname, not my husband's surname, you know, and how sometimes we are conflicted by uncles. But yes, I have good uncles, but I also refer to the uncles with the Weinbecker, with the Weinbecker, you know. And then there's that uncles too, that you're scared of. You have to kiss all the uncles with their sloppy mouths, and you know. But we had good uncles too in our circles, you know, and the uncles that held us and that. So thank you very much for that, Sis Sekolde. Yeah,
Thank you.
you know. Thank
I
you. I'm
think
gonna.
we just have some comments.
There's just comments on the. You want to read that,
Ashwin?
Ashwin? No, we can't hear you.
Hallelujah.
Okay. There we go.
There we go. Okay, so from the online, it says from, Ulufat says, Umalume raised us in the 90s too in Kenya. They are not there anymore.
Yeah.
We call them Wazi in Swahili.
Swahili.
Although ours did not give us justice to women, but to only men, so they were promoting patriarchy. I'm happy to learn the Zulu Umalume supports women in meditation.
In mediation.
In mediation, sorry.
Thank you.
Ubuntu is basically means we should do beautiful things to our fellow partners to please God. Allah, that's how family misses stability.
Thank you, Ashwin. Before I hand over to
Sorry, and that's
Elizabeth
from
Hussein.
that is from Ulufat Usan, from the Muslim women's rights activist from Kenya and member from the Side by Side Gender Justice Movement.
Thank you, Lufa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before I hand over to Elizabeth to close, I just want to say thank you to Safi for this opportunity to collaborate. And I want to just say, as we close this conversation, let us be clear that ending violence against women is not just about protecting women, it is about transforming society. Because when women are unsafe, communities are unstable. And when women are limited, men are diminished too. So we heard that men are not only part of the problem, they are part of the solution. But that requires courage. It requires courage to unlearn, the courage to challenge other men, and the courage to choose a different way of being. Let us leave here not just with ideas, but with responsibility. Because the work does not begin in conferences. It continues in our homes, our relationships, and our communities. And if we're serious about change, then we must all ask ourselves, what will I do differently from today? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Prof.
Okay, thank you. It's not that there's anything wrong said.
Yeah.
Just because, again, we are speaking in English.
Yes.
Umalume in this particular case, because I've seen other people saying your father's brother is your uncle, is umalume. So in our language, it's not umalume, it's your father, but depending on the age between your father and him. Tata, father, the younger one, tata, and the elder one. But this one is the maternal.
Mothers.
One other thing I want to clarify, which our children are losing. With your uncle, whenever a sheep is slaughtered, or even an ox, there's a special meat that is dedicated for even the word the nephew and niece, sometimes you confuse it because ours is neutral umchana. So when you go to your malume's house, once a sheep is slaughtered, you are sure of ilunda. Ilunda is specially put aside for abachan. So abachan are losing that now of ilunda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. So I want to just say thank you to everyone, the folk online. Thank you so much for that input, sister, we've just read your comments, but also especially to all of those of us who are present in the room, those who have stayed online, our panelists, our speakers. Thank you. This is, as the world is shifting, we are also needing to reposition and shift. And so we would like to encourage us to be courageous. Be courageous. Do not be afraid to go into your own traditions, into your own family lineage, and to figure out what is it, why has God placed you in that context, and to bring forth through whatever your current roles are, your current faith expressions even, but to not be afraid to really go into your own lineage and to find those resources. In your own faith, find those resources, bring it to the center. We understand as Safi that this is just an initial kind of conversation on this particular topic, men as resources, which I know for some people that may have been, what are you trying to say? We try to arrange. I was invited not so long ago, a few years ago, to chair a national conference. So what that meant, as the chairperson of that conference, I could put together the program and everything, and even invite the people, you know, that needed to be part of this. So this, but this annual conference, that title is Violence, like violence is the title. And so, in South Africa. And so I put together everything. We had all the meetings and everything, and the focus that I then put on the table and said, this is what the conference will be. I put on faith and men, faith, men, and culture as resources. And we did wonderful meetings, and somewhere towards the end, when it was close to us now needing to promote the conference, I was told by the organizers that unfortunately they won't be able to have the conference. And so that's fine. That is fine. What we are saying is when we begin to draw on the resources from within African understanding, you might be experiencing that people, they will be back, there will be pushback. But as long as you know that you're dealing with your convictions and it is pure, in the right time, whatever God had set forth for this earth to experience will come to pass. And so I want to say thank you with those words to all of you for your work, because you are here, you participate really because I know you are doing your work, and continue to do that. We are looking forward to potentially at some stage have an in-person conference. Because can you imagine if we have all of the folk that we had online? We just had very short inputs from. There are many people in this room. Lillian is here doing extraordinary work with women, and not just women, but in the migrant women. Soraya is here doing extraordinary work. On the Cape Flats, Bonteheuwel Walking Ladies, Pastor Pickering, Pastor Hester, all of you, Patsy, I know we are doing enormous work where we are. Thank you also to my board member that is here, Nita, for just helping us center. We're going to do more of those things as well, because we need to be cared for as people who are doing this critical, very violent work, actually. So, also just to say, Pastor Pickering, the Men Affirming Dignity exhibition, you see the mobile exhibition outside. Pastor Pickering is one of the men that is in the exhibition. Currently, in Atlantis, Pastor Hester Plaikis, Elder Plaikis and Pastor Pickering, they are using the exhibition in Atlantis and engaging the community. And so we are doing different things, to shift the narrative, to put the focus on more life-affirming, resources that is in our communities everywhere. And we use that as a strategy to push back, to bring light to darkness, to push back evil, right? And so we're not ignoring what is wrong, but we are inserting the life-affirming resources that has always been there and often been marginalized or dormant, quiet. So thank you once again to everyone. We do have some refreshments. We would really, really like for you to stay some more time with us. Oh, there's the evaluation forms that Martin and Ashwin is just showing me. Please, we really do appreciate your feedback. Elder Plaikis, you wanted to say something?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not going to be long. I just want us to be mindful today, speaking about men and the absence of men within families, be mindful of wars taking place right now, where women have to flee with their children and men will be absent in their homes. I think thousands of men have already been killed in certain wars around the world. And There's so many children. If we look at the news and everywhere, we see that children are abandoned and families are broken up just because of one man's ideology, one man's thinking. My children, being in Dubai for 12 years, they are now back today. They came back today, just because for the sake of the children. So let us be mindful of it. We as religious folks, let us do a salah, let us do a prayer, let us just be mindful of those that at this moment, don't have any protection or whatever for the children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder. I wonder, can we actually have someone do a closing prayer and holding, that intention and reality in the world? Any person who feels led to offer us a closing prayer. Patsy, do you want to come?
We can sit, that's fine. Let us close our eyes. Father God, this afternoon, we just want to give you thanks, Lord. You know our hearts, Lord. You know what we need now, Father, is a complete shift, a complete change around the way we've been doing things, Lord. It's not a normal anymore, Lord, because the normal has become abnormal outside. And so, Lord, we thank you, Lord, that you know that we need to, Lord, shift first inside of us before we can change the world out there, Lord. So this afternoon, we even thank you, Lord, for bringing in, Lord, into remembrance this afternoon, not just, Lord, us in South Africa, not just, Lord, the people that were, part of this panel, but we're looking at the world, my Father, that is in disarray because of ideologies, my Father, because of power struggles, my Father. And so, Lord, as we even sit here, my God, to get messages, my community is again at war, my Father. 2 people have been shot as we speak, my God. So, Lord, even in the shifts, my Father, help us, my God, to be grounded in you, to be grounded, Lord, in, Lord, the one thing, Lord, that brings us together, and which is humanity. And so, my Father, that we nurture the life and the soul, and specifically of the man-child, my God. Help us, Lord, to redirect our approach, our programs, our whatever we need to do. Lord, give us the wisdom, the discernment, the understanding, my Father, how to do it and what to do, my Father. And we know you will provide. And we say, Lord, not because we deserve it, but because of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. As we remember, Lord, going into the Holy Week, my Father, Lord, celebrating, Lord, him giving his life to us. And we say thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. So please, as you complete the evaluation form, that feedback is important to us. We then also want you, the food is there. Excuse? Thank you so much to the online folk. Belisa, I see you still there. Thank you so much for holding the space. We appreciate. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And thank you to our technical team. Always amazing and wonderful to have them. Thank you. Thank you.